Good afternoon, Grand Rising, everybody. How you doing? This is your Coach Renz. Welcome to the show. TikTok don't want to act right. Welcome, one and all. Welcome to the show. Welcome to What's Deconstructing Christianity. I am your Coach Renz, and TikTok don't want to act right, but we trying to get it right. Hopefully, everybody recognizes today is Friday. It's Friday. End of the week and the last day. So what you gonna do? There was no rapture. I know some people. That's something that some people ain't doing. They ain't doing a rapture. It's not working. There we go. But Christian persecution is what we're going to talk about. What up, Dwayne? I'm going to talk about Christian persecution. Sorry, I had to get the TikTok working. Yeah, I saw some comments about Christian persecution yesterday on the live, which so happens to coincide with the fact that I was going to talk about this on Friday anyway. So that's what our conversation is going to be about initially. It depends on how long this conversation probably won't last as long. Well, one is Friday. I know we do a shorter show on Friday anyway. But also, being as Christian persecution is there's not a lot, so to speak, in consideration. And I find it to be very hypocritical when Christians today are whining about Christian persecution, yet ignoring all other forms of religious persecution or just general persecution around the world in today's, as we see it today. For this to be such a loving religion of loving, peace-loving people, we say that they are only concerned about themselves and try to make themselves look like the victim. If any group of people had a victim mentality, it will be especially American, Westernized Christians today have such a victim mentality when it comes to things that are going on around the world. They find a one little instance. I ain't gonna say little. It's not a little. So let me be clear. Let me be clear. All forms of persecution is wrong. All forms of killing someone over religion, disagreements like that, is wrong. No one should have to die or should die because they believe in an imaginary God. No one should die from that, right? So nobody should die. Throughout history, people have died for different religious persecutions. Were there Christians who died under the heel of Rome? Sure, yes. There was also Christians who died under the papacy and under dictatorships that were Christian. But did Jews die under the heel of Rome? Did Mithrists, those who practice Mithraism, die under the heel of Rome? Yes. Did those who, after Theodosius, did those who worship Apollo die because of their belief? Did those who worship the Greek gods, did they die? Did those who worship the Serapis die? Yes, they died too. Did those who worship Ra, did they die? Yes, they did. And so when Christians try to make it seem like Christian persecution is the only persecution that's ever happened, is a bunch of bullshit. And in today's world, Christians try to make it seem like they are the most persecuted group in the world. And a lot of that comes from this idea, a lot of that is stemming from the issues that are happening in Nigeria for the most part. In Nigeria, you have the country is split in two. There's a Muslim side of the country, there's a Christian side of the country. Then there's the battleground area. And in that battleground area, you will find that Christians are dying. But guess who else is dying in that battleground area? Muslims. Christians never talk about the fact that in Nigeria, although not as many, but Muslims are dying in that battle zone area as well. Christians are dying at a higher rate. They're roughly about 2 to 1. But the fact still remains, when you got 50,000 Muslims that died, 50,000 is a number. It's not like we're saying one Muslim died, 2 Christians died. 50,000, 100,000. That's too many, period, on either side. Right? So we have this situation in Nigeria, of course, but what's happening in China? Is it Christians who are the ones being persecuted at the highest? No. It is Muslims being persecuted at the highest level in China, followed by Buddhists who are being persecuted at the next highest level. And the only Christians that are being persecuted in China are the Christians who don't have a legal church in China. And here's the beauty of it. Fred Adams on Facebook just demonstrated the exact behavior by which I'm speaking of. All day yesterday and any other day, he claimed that 30 million Christians die a day. 30 million. Now, Fred has a problem. He can't complete, he has difficulties completing, I'm talking like Fred. He has difficulties completing complete sentences. Completing complete sentences. Okay, I see why I'm missing it. So I'm going to say that his 30 million was a textual mistake that he made. But he'll make these claims. Oh, Christians are dying. Christians are dying. Provide no proof of any of the things that he is saying. But in perfect Christian hypocrisy, when you say that Muslims are dying in Nigeria, that in Myanmar, Muslims were dying. In China, Muslims are dying. Then he'll say, where's the evidence? Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? You see, when they want to make their claims, they never provide any proof, or they expect you to take it on, and they expect you to take it on face value. But when you are looking, when this comes to someone else, all of a sudden they want proof, right? So it shows the hypocrisy of Christianity, right? The fact that they want you to believe in the persecution that they are perceiving themselves to be going through, yet when you speak of any other persecution, like if I were to talk about the fact that it was Christian on Christian violence during the Inquisition, yes, they also persecuted Jews during the Spanish Inquisition and the Italian Inquisition. Jews were persecuted. The Spanish also persecuted Christians. We know we had the witch hunting in England, and we had the witch hunting in America. Now, the witch hunts are actually more gruesome in the Americas than they were in the witch hunting was more gruesome in England than they were in Americas, right? People in America, they have zero proof of anybody actually being burned at the stake. There was some drownings, but no burning at the stakes. In England, them motherfuckers got burnt in the stake. They got burnt in the stake. But when we look at the history of persecuting people for religious beliefs, the overwhelming majority of the time, what makes Christian persecution, their thought process on it, hypocrisy, is the fact that they will only focus on what their people supposedly went through and what some of it you can prove that they actually went through. The overwhelming majority of their information starts out with Tacitus. Tacitus is the first person to really write about Christian persecution under Rome. Now, Tacitus writes in his annals that Nero started the fire, but he blamed it on Christians. and that Christians were rounded up by Nero, and that they were made to wear animal skins and have dogs tear at them. And then he said that Nero used them as torches in his garden to light the garden at night. Tacitus is half right. Tacitus is definitely half wrong. Many scholars have recognized that Tacitus did not like Nero, was constantly writing negative things about Nero. He practically invented the Roman propaganda machine against Nero because he was he was in favor of the Flavian dynasty, and so Nero was a Julio-Claudian. So it is very well known that Tacitus did not like Nero, and so therefore some of the information had been inflated. Some of the reasons why we know this is because there is no there's no corroboration with any other historian at that time frame concerning the fires of Rome in the stories that Tacitus wrote. Cassius Dio also he wrote about the Roman fires. Yes, he talked about Nero blaming Christians, but as far as Christians being rounded up, put on animal skin, put on them, being torn apart by wild dogs in the Colosseum, as far as them being lit as fires to light the Nero's garden, those things have been were never mentioned. Dio doesn't talk about them. No other historian talk about that aspect of it. Actually, other historians remark that no, it was regular torches being lit, that the gardens of Nero were utilized to house people who had lost their homes during the fire of Rome. No one denies that Nero blamed Christians for it. But as far as Nero himself persecuting Christians in a sense of wild dogs and lighting them on fire, that part, not so much. Were they then persecuted? Were they locked up? Were they caged? Did they go through some type of issues? Yes, but not to the scale that Tacitus wrote. And as we've seen before, Tacitus information cannot always be taken at face value. When he talked about Pontius Pilate, he gets his rank wrong. And Tacitus was more of a politician than he was a historian. Now, was there persecution of Christians throughout Rome? Yes. Did Domitian persecute Christians? Yeah, he persecuted Christians and anybody else who did not worship him. He also persecuted Jews. Anybody who did not worship, there's another, I forgot his damn name. He put out an edict that everybody must worship him, and when you worship him, you get a little piece, you get a receipt, and if you don't show up with that receipt, then you were to be jailed, sometimes beaten, sometimes hanged. I mean, sometimes crucified. So were there other? But was that the Christians? No, it was Christians, it was Jews, it was multiple people who were then crucified for not worshiping the emperor. So yes, there have been time frames of widespread persecution by the Roman government of Christians. Now, Christians were also persecuted by local authorities, by local people, just because you have this cult new to your neighborhood, and so they're unfavorable. You see their Eucharist as an abomination because you see it as it is, cannibalism. So it is undeniable that persecution of Christians it happened. But so did the persecution of millions of other people with different religions and different ethnicities. And then for Christians today to focus on Rome and then they jump to today. Let's skip all that Christian persecution of Africans, all that Christian persecution of people in India, all that Christian persecution of people in the Americas. Let's just skip the Christian persecution of the people in the Pacific Islands, all the persecution of the people in Australia. Let's just skip all of that. Let's not pay attention to all the Christian enslavement and persecution of indigenous people all over the world because, hey, Rome happened. Christian persecution under Rome started roughly when the religion started, like all cults have that issue, but was done by 318. 318, no more persecution of Christians. So yes, Christians had it hard for about 300 years. About 300 years. About 300 years. How long did Christianity persecute Africa? How long did they persecute in the Americas? How long was the transatlantic slave trade, the Jim Crow? How long was that? I think it was longer than 300. I'm thinking it was longer than 300 years. I'm quite positive that them dudes riding around in them white sheets. And other than that, the laws, the Jim Crow laws, that was going on, the slavery that lasted for over 200 plus years, the colonization that lasted for 400 and 500 years. Yeah, I think that's a little bit longer. And it's more widespread, affected more people. I think the 10 million plus people that Leopold genocided in the Congo is far greater than the number of Christians that were persecuted in Rome. And this fool is still on here talking about where's your proof? Where's your evidence? Telling me that I'm just making stuff up. The fact of the matter, you can read Tacitus' writings, you can read Dio's writings. If you dumb enough to not realize that slavery and colonization happened through Christian persecution, then you're just too stupid to breathe. In my opinion, you're too stupid to breathe. You're taking up good air. I'm not saying anybody should harm you. Just stop breathing, hold your breath, smother yourself, because you're stupid. Now, as I said earlier in here, does Christian persecution to us still happen today? Yes. But by what degree? By what numbers? Christian persecution is not the persecution that comes up in most people's mind. You see, when Christians, they will say that the fact that you can't proselytize in Dubai, you can't give anybody a Bible in most Arab countries. In Saudi Arabia, you can't even bring a Bible into the country. They will claim that that is Christian persecution. That's not Christian persecution. The fact that in Dubai, you can't stand on a street corner and try to preach, or you can't go to someone and try to convert them over, that's illegal. That's not Christian persecution. That's the country having their fucking laws the way they want to have them. It ain't got nothing to do with Christian persecution. The fact that China says that you can have a Christian church, you just have to get a license from us. And what we have to do is ensure that your church is not preaching against the CCP. As long as you're not preaching against the Chinese Communist Party, you can have a Christian church in China. But because Americanized Christians think that they should just be able to go over there and do it how they want to do it, say what they want to say, because that's what they do in America. Oh, we've been persecuted in China. China's persecuting us because we don't have freedom of speech in China. It's a different country. It's not America. Get that through your thick ass skulls. Let's turn this into a conversation. I'm trying to see if this dude will come up. If it'll come up. TikTok been acting a little strange. What's going on? That's the Goblin.
Yeah, what's going on?
How you doing? Are you over 21?
Am I over? Yeah, I'm 20.
All right.
I am 20.
Okay. Are you a believer?
No.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on Christians crying about persecution?
I mean, I just think persecution due to any religious or belief system is pretty wrong.
Yeah, I agree. I don't see the purpose of it.
And like in the U.S., at least like where I live, right, I would say most of the persecution would be done by either like ultra right or Christian groups, onto just like I guess probably leftists or like let's just say like LGBT similar groups would be persecuted by a lot of these Christians, at least in my experience. But I guess I'm not crying about it, but you know that's what's happening. So I find that bad.
No, Christianity in America, Christians persecute people by the standard that Christians claim persecution. Christians in America are doing the exact same thing to people who are LGBTQ, to people who follow a more liberal agenda when they get into the politics of it all, people who support abortion. Christians will persecute them in America the same way they are claiming how they're persecuted in other countries and whatnot.
Oh, is that what you're arguing against them?
Arguing against who?
Like, are you saying that like Christians who think they're being persecuted are just kind of
they're hypocrites. Yeah, they're hypocrites. No, not them, not the. Okay, I see what you're saying. No. What I'm saying is that Christians will cry about how people are being persecuted around the world for being Christian. And in some cases, the persecution that they're claiming is the fact that in China, they don't have the freedom to teach Christianity however they want to, because you can have a Christian church, but you can't talk bad about the government. So they'll claim that to be Christian persecution. So they don't want anybody, they don't like the fact that somebody's trying to tell them how to live their life in China as far as a Christian and how to promote Christianity.
I can see that's pretty blatant.
Right.
So yeah. So I would argue that like that. I mean, there's definitely like I guess Islamic states that I would say are pretty directly persecuting Christians, but that would be the only real argument.
All right. There are some places where Christians are persecuted in real persecution. I don't think that just because the government says you can't speak bad about them, that's not persecution. That's that country's laws and rules. But those same Christians come to America and they then try to how they were being controlled in China, they then try to control LGBT people in America. So that's what I was saying about that. Now, when it is the situations in countries where being a Christian is a crime, or in Nigeria where they're fighting against, it's the Christian side of Nigeria fighting against the Muslim side of Nigeria, and the Christians are losing, and so more of them are getting killed. That, I don't think anybody should be getting killed, but that's the whole cause of that fight in Nigeria. It's one side is Muslim, the other side is Christian, but both sides are losing people. Now, when you go to, if a person was Christian and they went to Saudi Arabia and they stood on a street corner and they start trying to preach and they go to jail, that's their problem. That's the law. The law says you can't do that. So that's not persecution. That's you being a criminal.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. I thought you were kind of saying it like, I guess the other way around. I guess I was just a bit confused by what you're saying. But yeah, I mean, I agree. I think there's definitely some persecution, but to say like, I guess just like the shit in China or just like a country has laws or something, I mean, it's no different than you voting against someone else's lifestyle or whatever. You know? So if you're going to say it's wrong, then you probably shouldn't do it yourself, right?
Right, exactly. And that's my thing. If you're going to say something is wrong, then don't go back and do it yourself. Don't then come to America and you now want to persecute other people for their beliefs, how they believe they should be able to live their life, who they choose to be. You can't then flip the script and be the exact same that you claim the other people are.
Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah, I got you. All right, well, have a great day, man.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Yeah, peace out.
Peace. Yeah. So it's so let's see some of these comments. Say missionaries wanted to spread Christianity to ensure slaves would obey. Oh, yeah. That is a true thing that happened quite often. See, it's no doubt that people are persecuted around the world for different things, different reasons. But when it's exaggerated, when Christians exaggerate their persecution, and then they like to sit in the safety of America. And my question then is, what are you going to do about it? And then are you for ending all persecution? Are you going to go to China and get them to stop persecuting the Tibetan Buddhism? Right? Are you going to stop Tibetan Buddhism persecution in China? Or are you concerned about is Christian persecution in China? Right? Or when you go to Nigeria and you running and you crying about the persecution of Christians and it's not even persecution, really, it's just a war. It's mainly just a war. But are you going to say anything about the Christians who are killing the Muslims in Nigeria? Or are you only concerned about the Muslims who kill the Christians? That sounds like an American nationalist agenda. So that's what I want to know. Do you care about what happened in Burma with those people over the last 10 years? What's up, sir? I don't know what to call you. Man.
Oh, my bad. Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good. You over 21?
You said what?
You over 21?
Of course.
I don't know that. But I gotta ask for TikTok's sake.
I'm 37, man.
I don't know. That's the TikTok question I gotta ask, man.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
So are you a believer in Christianity?
When you say Christianity, no, not Christianity.
Do you believe in the Bible?
I believe in the Bible though, and I'm what you would call a pre-Constantine Christian.
You're a Christian, okay?
Yeah, but it
ain't a trap, man. It ain't a trap.
It ain't Christianity. Christianity was established by Constantine, brother.
No, it wasn't. Christianity was established well, dude. Christianity was established well before Constantine. I don't know where people get in this. People on both sides of the coin get this history all jacked up. Christianity was well established hundreds of years before Constantine ever became emperor of Rome.
Well, it wasn't called Christianity then.
Yes, it was.
Called Christianity until Constantine made it religion of Rome.
Nope. It was called Christianity in first century. In Antioch, they started calling themselves Christians. Initially, to be called
they called them Christians. But
yes,
they were just followers. It was other Christians, but it wasn't Christianity.
There were just as there is many versions of Christianity today, there were many versions of Christianity back then.
Yeah, but you're missing my point. That's just Christians. It wasn't called Christianity.
Yeah, it just had a different language, but yes, it was still called.
I get what you're saying. We don't have to play semantics. I get what you're saying. Yes, there was a pre-existing Christian movement.
Right. You're just saying that you don't follow the Roman version of Christianity. That would be accurate, right? Hello?
Oh, there you go.
So basically, you're just saying you don't follow Roman version of Christianity.
Right.
Okay.
Well, no, I follow the anti-Nicene church fathers. Yeah. The pure Christianity.
Well, there's no such There's no such thing as pure Christianity.
Why not?
Because Christianity has never been identified as a source. There's no source group of Christians that continued on today. From day one, there were various versions of Christianity.
What about in Acts?
What about in Acts?
When they first was called Christians in Antioch.
And you're talking about, that's what I said earlier, but even at that, who was there at that meeting, that first meeting in Jerusalem? Who was there to determine that they were called Christians? Who's writing Acts? Let me make it clear. No, one question. Forget the other question. Who wrote Acts?
Luke.
Luke was a disciple of who?
Paul.
So what you're saying is that a man who has never walked with Jesus, dealt with Jesus, is the version of Christianity that is pure compared to the people who supposedly were the actual followers of Jesus in Mark and Matthew.
Yeah, but he followed somebody but I get what you're saying right there, but that's kind of irrelevant unless you're saying that he went off of Christ's teaching, which we don't see him doing. So,
but you're
just like someone following you have a follower of a follower of a follower who keeps the same playbook or the same instructions verbatim. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
But you're claiming a book from a dude who wasn't a real follower, who wasn't saying the same thing that is said in Matthew and Mark. You're following a dude who was writing to the Gentiles, who was making it for Rome. His audience was Rome.
You talking about Paul?
Yeah. Paul and Luke.
Yeah,
Paul and Luke's audience was Rome, but you claimed a few minutes ago that you don't follow Roman Christianity.
Yeah, but Peter doubled down on about Paul, and he said, if you don't understand the law, you're not going to understand what Paul is writing. So obviously, it always been written in the Torah or by the prophets. When he said the other scriptures.
When did Peter say that?
2 Peter 3:15.
Okay, Peter, the disciple Peter, never wrote that. That was a 2 Peter. Those are just unknown authors that were ascribed to say Paul wrote.
So who you saying wrote that? Ignatius?
I don't know who wrote it. We don't know who wrote it. We just
Clement
is probably a disciple of Paul who wrote it. But Peter never wrote 1 Peter.
He never wrote 1 Peter?
He never wrote Peter.
He never wrote 2 Peter. Because I didn't know that it was a debate about 1 Peter epistle. Now the second one, if you want to say that it was a debate about that, then, which is the one that I'm claiming, right? Then you can have that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can figure out what's the actual debate in question and in the scholarship. But Peter's epistle, I never seen I haven't been aware of any discrepancies.
Peter the fisherman would not have been educated enough to be able to write that in Greek. That's the main argument. That Peter wouldn't have been educated enough to write in Koine Greek. So it is unlikely that the Apostle Peter actually wrote that.
So they don't. So okay. So what if he had a scribe to write it for him?
To even speak at that level in Koine Greek, because Peter was. Well, no, I understand what you're saying. He could have had a scribe write it for him. Peter's first language would have been Aramaic.
Mm-hmm.
He would have. No, Aramaic.
Hebrew, Aramaic. So
Aramaic is a form. It's a watered down slang version of Hebrew.
It's okay. It's okay. It's a misnomer.
Right. It's a version of Hebrew, and that actually lends to my point. What the Greek, if Peter spoke Greek, the Greek he would have spoken would not have been an educated version of Greek. It would have been a more slang conversational version of Greek. But First Peter is written in an educated version of Greek. So like when you do you speak another language?
Josephus says no. So Koine Greek is common. I think it was the Coptic, which is more
no, you have to be educated to speak
Koine
Koine.
Greek is common. It's common because Josephus I believe Josephus said that not a lot of Jews wasn't trained in the they wasn't trained in the common Jew like the majority. It was only a select few.
I don't recall Josephus writing that. I mean, but I don't know every word of Josephus either, so I can't say.
But I think Koine Greek is common. You can fact check me on that. You can double check me on that, and I'll double check too. But okay, so you're saying that Peter, so even if he spoke in Aramaic in there, and you don't think that he can have someone that studied in the Greek language to translate his scriptures?
I mean, that's completely possible, but that's if that's a if, and if was a fifth, we'd all be drunk. I mean, we can make up all kind of scenarios to make things fit, but based on the data that we know about the people of that time frame, it was the caste level that Peter was at. It is very unlikely that he wrote anything. It is very unlikely that he could write, period. So, and it's not like a look down on him. He just wouldn't have had that much of a need for it. So it's just very unlikely. Now, so even though the story in First Peter, he claims that he is the Apostle Peter, it's just unlikely that if there was an Apostle Peter, that he actually wrote it, right? But we going away from where I wanted to focus with you because there's some hypocrisy in what you're saying though here. Mm-hmm. You're telling me that you are not a follower of the Constantine Christianity, mm-hmm. but yet you are. Okay, so do you accept other books outside of the canonized Bible as your scripture?
Of course.
So what books are you accepting? Like, give me an example. Like the Book of Enoch?
Of course.
Okay,
the Book of Enoch, some mm-hmm. of the pseudepigraphy, not all of it, but some select few, like 12 patriarchs that was found in also the Dead Sea Scrolls. Book of Jubilees, Book of Enoch, things of that nature. I already mentioned Josephus, so I subscribe to Josephus as well for historical. Historical view, right?
So when
I believe that's probably it as far as the biblical, like what I take as authority in the of course the apocryphal books.
Mm-hmm. So you accept books that within there's already enough contradictions within the Bible itself. So now you accept other books that provide even more contradictions.
Like well, so I believe, right? Well, I don't know if you got a problem with me saying I believe. This is how I take it, right?
No, because that's all it is belief. I said no, because I know all it is belief.
Well, belief comes from knowing.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
That belief and contradiction. Belief is a contradiction of knowing. Knowing is to know something based on facts.
You have to know something to believe in.
No, when you know something, you just know it. When you believe something, you don't have facts.
That's a false narrative. Like that. I don't know where that comes from, I know people use that to go against like people that subscribe to Bible or a religion, but believe me, listen, that's not no pun intended, but what I'm saying is you have to know something in order to believe it. People, the reason that we have like scientists today is because of their belief. Rather, Einstein, figured out the laws of relativity, and Newton the what is it? Newton got the gravity thing.
Newton
got the laws of motion with Newton, right?
Sure. Okay, but what's your point?
Their belief, right?
No.
Because they knew something that they believed in. They knew that it was there. They knew it was there. So they just had to discover it. And
no.
people probably thought they was crazy at a point in time. But their belief kept them on a path to where they was able to prove, figure out the facts.
No.
To prove their point.
You're putting the cart before the horse in the way you're stating that. You cannot believe in gravity without knowing gravity exists. So when Isaac Newton was figuring out, he knew that there was something that causes things to fall, that attracts things to the ground. He didn't know it to be gravity, but he just knew. So when you say, but you're taking the knowing that something's happening by observation, and the thing about it, I can know that something is happening because I see it. I have facts that it happens. He doesn't know it to be gravity nor the mathematics that gives you the formula for gravity. It is not until he experiments and do all his other stuff that then he knows. So there was never a belief involved. It was all one knowing at a base level that grew into a deeper knowing.
I like how you put that.
Because that's how it is.
No, so in order for your belief to prove your belief, you need a little bit of knowing.
No, see,
with your five senses.
You're mixing the words again, which is a great way to do it. It's a great way to try to argue your point.
It's literally, listen, brother. It's literally a diagram.
I
forgot what it's called.
But see,
it has belief, and on one side, and it has knowing on the other. In the middle, there's truth. So you need both.
No.
It's an actual scientific diagram.
No, it's not. It's not a scientific diagram. That's some shit that somebody who was making a slideshow presentation put together. There is no science behind that. No scientist is going to accept that as something to utilize.
Scientists believe that's what a hypothesis is, though, right? So
no, that's not
a scientific method. You have an idea, and then you believe that idea.
What is the idea? What is the idea based on? Because you're not.
I'm just speaking vaguely.
No, okay. So
but if it's based on nothing, if I believe
that's the problem that you're thinking. A hypothesis has never been based on nothingness. It's always based on something that has been observed.
What about the void that's in space?
What about it? It's not void in the sense of nothingness. There is matter in space. There is no such thing as nothing.
At one point in time, it was considered nothing.
Yeah, when they didn't know it. When you couldn't test it, it was considered nothing because based on their observation, they thought that there was nothingness in space. But even that was based on their observation. It wasn't until they were able to test it that they then were able to establish that observation was wrong. So there was never a belief in the emptiness of space. There was the observation that there is nothing in space.
So according to my five senses, one being my observation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that there's that there's a creator to all this. It's too fine-tuned. It's too perfect. It's too
No, it's not.
relying on each other.
Actually,
It's too many things rely on each other just to make one thing work.
actually, I was doing
It's like a machine almost. Like you know how
dude.
you have like a car. Like
Okay, I understand what you're saying. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. That doesn't work. That argument is so, and it's funny. It's funny because after I'm finished this live today, one of the videos I'm going to do is about that very subject. And the whole idea of that everything is so fine-tuned. No, it is not. This earth, this universe is not fine-tuned for us. And I don't want you to think I'm lying. See, I'm bringing this up.
You disagree with science.
No, I don't. No, I don't. Look.
Okay, so I got this quote.
Oh my gosh, you interrupt a lot. The universe is fine-tuned for life. You know, precision is perfect, points to a designer, right? I got that in my little bank right there because I was going to talk about this later on today. And when the truth of the matter is, if you talk to any scientist, they're going to tell you that the universe is actually not fine-tuned for our life, because the overwhelming majority of the universe is not habitable for us. Right? If the universe is so fine-tuned for us, why isn't the majority of the universe made where we can live in? It's not. And even on this planet Earth, the Earth is not fine-tuned for us, right? It is just fine-tuned to have life on it, but it's not fine-tuned for us. Meaning that the overwhelming majority of the places on this planet, you could not survive in your natural form.
Okay. Now go ahead and finish. My bad, brother.
Because every animal, every plant on this planet, from the moment they're born, they are born in an environment to sustain their life, right? But when you look at humans, we are only born to live in the tropics. And within the tropics, there's all kind of shit in there to kill us, from a mosquito to a lion. This is not fine-tuned for us. This is after Earth. This is a hellscape of death on this planet.
Well, yeah, things do decay. I agree with
not decay.
That's what death is.
No, I don't mean decay like in that sense. When I say fine-tuned for this is a hellscape, this is death, is that the overwhelming majority of things in the environment to which we could survive in naturally will kill us. Like the animals, the mosquitoes.
But they don't though. Look how long the Earth been the Earth, right? I don't know what date you want to put on it. But whatever. But if you want to do the 4.8 billion, whatever, I don't know. But look how long the Earth been the Earth, and nothing came and destroyed it. As chaotic you say the universe is, nothing was able to travel here and destroy life on Earth, destroy the plants from growing, and none of that. Nothing was able to stop that.
You do realize there's been at least 5. We can detect at least 5 extinction level events on the planet, and that 98% of the species that's ever lived on this planet has gone extinct.
And okay, if you say that, then I have to say no. I'm talking about like the things that make the Earth, the plants as well. You know, that's what I'm talking about. Like, do we have things that stop the plants from growing? What's still, why the plants, like you can flood the Earth, but the trees don't, when that flood the planet or whatever decrease, the trees are still going to be growing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The Earth could, a comet could hit the Earth and it could destroy all the movable life, right? But it could destroy the trees. But guess what? Once it rains and everything, once the Earth go through its cycle and everything, the life is going to organically grow. right? The tree plant life is going to organically restart again.
Yeah, you're pretty much expressing Darwinism. That
Well, no.
no, you are. Don't you got to understand? Darwinism is not just about man coming from a common ancestor. It's also it's the idea of survival of the fittest, and the fittest is not always the strongest and the fastest. When he talked about survival of the fittest, it is the whatever can adapt to the new situation is what will survive.
Right, brother. I got survival of the fittest in Old English. I got that tattooed on my chest.
Okay.
So I'm pretty well acquainted with Darwin,
Okay.
which I didn't understand his dark history until much later.
Okay,
right?
but I don't want to go into another sidetrack. But you understand, survival, extinction level events have happened, which is why 98% of the species that's ever lived on this planet are extinct. So whatever was able to adapt to the new situation is what is still here. So yeah, you're going to, and my point about the Earth being in the danger zone is not that everything has to be destroyed. If that's your case, that, well, it doesn't matter if we keep getting hit by meteorites, it doesn't matter if we keep having natural disasters and it destroys the majority of life on the planet. As long as life continues to exist, then the Earth is fine-tuned. If that's your idea of fine-tuning, that's a horrible, to me, that's terrible. Because fine-tuning, I would protect the Earth. I would make sure there ain't nothing destroying whatever I've created on the Earth if I was this God.
Yeah, that tells you when it is stuff that comes and destroy the stuff that everyone is directing it. But I want to get to this.
I was at a reckoning and there was no
plant
humans.
life, right? Is there any other place in the universe? I was going to say a galaxy. In the universe that has plant life with oxygen.
Well, recently we found over 400 Earth-like planets that have the water in the right habitable zone of their star, and we don't have the technology to see what's actually on those planets yet. But we found at least 400 Earth-like planets. So it's plausible. It's most likely, yeah.
So if they have water, then they have plants. But it take us 4 point.
We have to go find. We have to go see.
We don't even travel at light speed, brother. We ain't gonna never get there. So that's just
we will never get there. But
it's good. It's a good thing to put out there to put a band-aid over your worry, right? Over our concerns about if something happened to the Earth, can we go somewhere else?
Okay, just
sustain life.
Just because we don't have the technology to get there today doesn't mean that it's some kind of, fairy.
We're talking about light speed, brother.
Okay.
Those places, those super.
What does that have to do with the fact that you're asking about plants on them? If we can observe the planet and evaluate what's most likely on the planet, then we can make a good hypothesis as to whether or not it has plant life. But us being able to travel there, that doesn't facilitate God made this Earth perfect. There might be some beings on that planet that sit up here looking at our planet saying that it might be life on that planet. We don't know. It's kind of similar to ours. We don't know. That's the beauty of science. Science is not finite. Science is not finite. It's open to find out new information, whereas your religion, you guys become finite in your thoughts and think you have a good point because we ain't got light speed. So
no, I'm just saying what they are saying. Like those planets are, at least I know that our nearest star is like 4 point some billion light years away. 4 light years away. I don't know what it is, but that means that if we travel in light speed, it'll take us 4 years to get there.
Right.
In some of these places that you're talking about are actually million is well, it's much greater than that.
Okay.
So it'll take us even longer to get to those places.
What's your point?
What's my point?
Yes.
The point is, it's a story that they give you to put a band-aid over your work, so you can say, oh yeah,
Hold on.
we don't have it right
Hold
now,
on.
but in the future,
Hold on.
maybe
Stop what you're saying. Stop. No, because you said your whole thing is based on something that is completely fallacious.
It's a band-aid.
God damn. Bro. Stop.
You want to let me finish? Go ahead.
Yeah, and as the host, I can interrupt. But shit. Okay. Who said, and where do you get the notion that people like myself are worried? Because your whole argument is based on, they tell us that so we won't put a band-aid for our worries. We don't have worries about life on other planets. They're a curiosity, but that's it.
Curiosity, yeah. So that's, if you're curious, then
you just curious.
That's
make up some shit.
Result of being curious, right?
What?
You're trying to find it out because something is not right about what's here at home.
Are you serious? Are you seriously still gonna try to run with that?
It's about what's going on other planets. Why is we looking into other planets?
So yeah, let me show you how ridiculous that statement is.
Okay.
That if a person no, hell no, because it's ridiculous, dude. You keep starting your statements on these ridiculous points that don't make any sense. If a person is curious about something, it's a form of worry of something else. So if I'm curious about what cheesecake tastes like, that's a worry? No, it looked good. It looked good. I see a picture of it. Look, I'm curious what that tastes like. There's no worry in that. What the hell?
Okay.
What are you talking about?
Unless you're on a cheesecake diet.
Oh, so now you're gonna make up some extra shit.
We speaking hypotheticals right now.
No, you are speaking in finite terms of saying that the reason why they tell us about other planets is because we worry. And I'm saying it's a curiosity. Oh, if you're curious, it's because there's a worry. You're trying to force this issue of it's a worry. There's no worrying. I don't give a shit. I mean, it's great. If there's another planet, I would love to go to it. I just want to see it. But if there's no other planets in our known universe that has any kind of life whatsoever, then it is just what it is. I'm not worried about it because I'm trying to leave Earth. The only thing that makes me want to leave Earth is humans. Y'all make me want to leave Earth. Because humans are fucked up in the head.
Well, we didn't get like this way overnight. So, but it was a bad analogy. It was a bad explanation. But what I'm saying is, because it's many ways that does fit, right?
That what?
And
no.
You brought up the food thing where it don't necessarily fit. But you could be worried about. I could bring up tons of scenarios where you could be worried.
Not with curiosity. Not with curiosity. With curiosity, there is no worrying in curiosity. Curiosity is merely you have an interest in something. You have a desire to know something. You see a woman that got a nice body under a dress, you may have a curiosity of what she looked like butt ass naked. That ain't got nothing to do with no worrying.
Eve was curious of the future, right? Was she worried about something?
No. She wasn't curious. First of all, she wasn't curious about the fruit because it wasn't, if somebody brought it, the serpent supposedly brought it to her attention. She wasn't just curious about it. So you're using the wrong word.
So but he sparked the interest. He presented something that sparked her interest. That's curiosity.
No, he started debating her about the situation of what was said, and she repeated to him what was said. That then convinced her. There was no curiosity involved.
It was. It says it.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't say that at all.
It says it started to look pleasing to her eyes.
No, she said.
Curious.
No,
that's curious.
no, man. You know what? You have. I think you need to go back to English class.
Okay. So look, I'm finna bring it up.
You are having. So to say that she is curious because after he convinced her that this guy had lied, by which he did lie, then she said it just says that she saw that the tree was pleasant to the eye and good for food. Doesn't say anything about her being.
Listen to this Strong's Concordance. It's H8378, and the word there is ta'aba, right? So it says a longing, by implication, delight, satisfaction, objectively a charm, dainty, desire, exceedingly, greedingly, lusting, pleasant. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So she had a desire. It say that, don't it? It say, and to be, then it say, and the woman saw the tree good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna let this is a circle, and this is so far away from the point. This is not me saying that, okay, you're right, I'm just going on. Let's move on to something else.
Right, we can move on.
This is, I don't care. Like, I don't. And I'm not going to argue over whether curiosity is worth. Curiosity is not worrying. That's just dumb to have that argument. And I'm not going to waste these people who are listening's time on that bullshit. All right. We never even broached the subject matter here. I was just curious as to what version of Christianity, and then just the hypocrisy of you sitting up here reading the Strongs, and you reading all the stuff that came from the Roman Church, but claiming you don't follow the Roman Church. And
so I can't read the Strongs now.
Oh, Strong's is terrible. If I was you, I would switch to the Oxford Library of Concordances, because Strong's because Strong's have Strong's doesn't do it.
I got another one. I have an encyclopedia. I got I have two encyclopedias. I know that. Well, I don't just use the Strong's. I'll say that.
I would use Oxford, because Strong's is a horrible. It mistranslates a lot of Hebrew words.
I also study Hebrew, so
yeah, because Strong's is based on the King James, on the doctrine of the King James. So I wouldn't use Strong's.
So use the Brown's Dever Deeds.
But so
I got the Smith Bible Dictionary.
Okay.
Encyclopedia of Biblical Theological and Ecclesiastical Literature. So I got a lot of different tools that I use.
Christians crying about persecution is hypocrisy. What say you?
Christians crying about persecution. I say, yeah, that is hypocrisy. Because if the Messiah was persecuted, then so would you be persecuted. No man is greater than his master.
Okay. So you don't mind Christians being persecuted?
I don't know. There's Christians saying that them being persecuted, is they crying about being persecuted?
So I got Christians who are crying, and their statement is, they make a couple of statements. One of those statements is that Christians being persecuted just demonstrates that the Bible is true. But yet they ignore the fact that people of multiple different religions all over the world have been and are still being persecuted to this day.
Yeah, Christians, they full of that Roman. Remember I was telling you that Roman doctrine, They full of that.
You are too.
They don't know the truth.
You are too.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are, bro.
No, I'm not. I know that this is
Let me ask you a question. Because even though I wanted to get back to the subject, but you just killing me with this Roman shit. So you say you accept the Book of Enoch, right?
yeah, absolutely.
Do you accept the book? You accept Genesis?
Yep.
So how do you square the fact that according to the book Genesis? So okay, wait a minute. So you accept Enoch and you accept Genesis that's in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
How many people survived on Noah's Ark?
8.
So you know I just put you in a trap, right?
8 in the ark. Yeah.
Trapping you. I'm letting you know that I'm putting you in a trap.
I know.
So
I kind of see where you're going.
Are you sure you want to say 8?
I want to hear more.
Are you sure you want to say 8? Is that your final answer?
In the ark? Yeah, 8.
So 8 people was on the ark.
Mm-hmm.
But you
in the ark, yeah.
And on doesn't matter. Don't. How many people survived Noah's flood? Let me put it in a way that you can't wiggle your way left or right.
I'm not wiggling, bro.
Yes, you are. How many people survived Noah's flood?
It's 3 sons and their wives.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 8.
8. But you said you read the book of Enoch. According to Enoch, the giant Og was tied to the mast of the ark and survived.
I don't think that's in Enoch, brother. I don't remember reading that in Enoch.
You sure about that?
I remember reading that in the book of the Giants. That's in the Dead Sea Scrolls. But you know what? The Bible says that Og, when the Israelites was going up against Og, is that he was of the remnant of the giants. A remnant is what's left over. So I don't know. Maybe that is a hidden connector right there. You know.
So, but somebody's story got to be wrong.
You said right? What?
Either Og survived or Og did not survive. Somebody's story got to be wrong.
Why somebody's story has to be wrong? And that's what I was saying earlier is that I don't think that they contradict the ones that I take, the accounts that I take, I don't think that they are contradicting each other. I think that if anyone sees contradiction, it's more so on the misunderstanding part.
How can you misunderstand the fact that if it says that Og survived Noah's flood in one book, but then it says that only 8 people survived? How is there a misunderstanding?
I don't see where it say that Og survived in Enoch. What chapter?
Actually, I'm trying to find it.
But I know it says that Og is a remnant of the Nephilim. Let me make sure that they use the word Nephilim because it may use Rephaim or some crazy stuff.
Why am I struggling to find it? Last time I looked this up, I found it so goddamn easy.
Yeah, they be lying on the internet.
Well, I don't say that they be lying on the internet. It's just you're gonna have differences of opinions, but
let me make that clear. So only take the first book, the one Enoch, not the second Enoch or the third Enoch.
So you just kind of all over the damn map on you.
No.
You accept this book or that book.
Only use one Enoch, but one Enoch is compiled of 5 books. And then the other ones came later. They came much later.
Well,
so I don't really subscribe to those.
I'm gonna have to. I am not finding it, so I'm going to defer from it and just leave it as a wash because I'm not finding this.
Say, why is this one God more relevant than any others? What have this one done? You living, ain't you? you have a chance to enjoy the future of your
What
life.
the hell are you talking about?
Somebody in the comments.
Okay, and your answer is insufficient for that question. The fact that you're living, somebody who a Hindu can say the same thing. Oh, that's proof of Brahma and Vishnu. If I would believe in the Egyptians, then I can say, well, that's proof of Ra and Neb and Ra that the fact that I'm alive. If I
was
was
just trying to ask you that too, because I see the ornament that you have. I was trying to say, are you a universal? What they call a universal?
No.
Tarian or something like that.
No, it's just a piece of jewelry that I like.
No.
Doesn't mean anything to me.
You know that's okay.
It's had many meanings from many different cultures throughout a longer time than the Bible or most of the cultures today have existed.
Yeah, it's a religion.
No.
It's a symbol of a religion.
No. Oh, if the hand was turned up this way, like that way, it would be Janism. Janism.
They should have had it that way.
Yeah.
By the fingers.
Janism. See, what you have to understand is that religions adopt symbols. Jainism adopted this symbol as a symbol of their religion.
Oh yeah, now Jainism, that's another thing.
But the symbol was around long before Jainism ever came into existence.
Oh,
the
okay,
symbol.
So that was just a piece of. I understand that, you know. And I was just trying to say, because if you was into like the Hinduism stuff, I was wanting to know that shaped your view. Did that shape your view on biblical texts?
No, I had already walked away from Christianity before I studied any parts of Hinduism. I was already done. I left Christianity because of studying Christianity. So that's it.
Okay.
There was no outside influences. It was the influence of Christianity.
That's very plausible.
Mm-hmm.
So this odd thing, you know what? I'm gonna try to search for that too.
I'm gonna have to search for it. I'm gonna have to find that later and do a separate video on it because I don't know why I am not finding the resources that I can't remember the exact resources. And I hate struggling online. When it's live, I like to find things quickly. Otherwise, it kind of like slows everything down.
So the Bible says that Og is the remnant of the giants.
But you said that you only read the first book of Enoch, right? You
go ahead.
Yeah, that's why I say I'm gonna just call that a wash because it's gonna take me longer to research it. So you said you read the first, you only accept the first book of Enoch, right?
Yeah.
So the first
one Enoch, yep.
Now the first book of Enoch does talk about if I remember correctly, it does go into the angels coming down and having sex with the people, right? With the women.
Yep.
Okay. And then it talks about, so what does Enoch say about the children of them? What happens then?
That they became what they call Nephilim or giants.
Mm-hmm.
They became giants on earth.
And what did they do?
They started to teach people certain types of sciences and knowledges. Basically science, like the way all the different science and physics and stuff.
Right.
The witchcraft and stuff.
They start teaching them metalworks, right?
Yeah.
And they started teaching them metalworks.
And how to raise war, like make war items. A lot of different things. A lot of different.
So
sciences.
And it's still in that one that were they evil?
When they did that, was they evil?
Yeah, were they evil?
They was evil once they started to impregnate the women.
Really? The angels were evil, or the women were evil?
The angels.
So the angels were evil.
Yeah, the angels is the ones that was teaching this stuff.
But the Nephilim weren't evil.
The Nephilim was the offspring of the angels, which had they had like a insatiable appetite or whatever, or like I don't know, but they became like the kings and stuff.
Okay.
And they would cause havoc on the earth, according to the book of Enoch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what brought forth the flood. And they only didn't just cause havoc for mankind, they caused havoc for the animals and for plant life and different in the earth as a whole.
Okay.
So I think they were just doing like different type of science manipulations.
So according to Genesis, it was Tubal-Cain who started making bronze and iron tools, not the Nephilim, not the angels. It was Tubal-Cain.
So you talk about with in Cain's lineage, right?
Right. He started making tools and stuff, and using metalworks, making bronze and iron.
Who did he learn it from?
Well, this is before they came down. This is before the angels came down and had sex with the women. Because it's not until Seth is born that they came down and started doing that.
So this is Genesis 4:22. Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. So Tubal-Cain is actually Cain's. Yep, he would have been around the same time as Jared, I think.
He's been around for a long time. Supposedly people lived all these hundreds of years.
Enoch, Methusiel.
Now that Enoch is not the Enoch that's supposed that the book of Enoch is about.
No.
That's a different Enoch.
Lamech. Yep, and Tubal-Cain. Oh, Jabal.
Okay. So I know you're reading these names, but that don't mean shit. So these dudes, so you said according to the book of Enoch, it is the angels who came and had sex with the women who started who taught them this little metal workings in order to make stuff, right? But the Bible says that Tubal-Cain just started making metalworks.
Yeah, but who did he learn them from?
It doesn't say.
If the book of Enoch is saying,
why does he have to learn it from someone?
The book of Enoch, it gives you a time period. It says, I think it says in the time of Jared in the book of Enoch.
What?
That's Enoch. That's his father or his grandfather, one of them. But if you look at, that's why I counted the lineage of sons. They would have been around the same time. So, and it said that the angel taught the people.
Nope, said the angels taught the women.
The metal work, and then we have an account in the Bible.
It says the angels taught.
Just out of nowhere, he's now the instructor.
It says the angels taught the women. And you can say the women taught their sons. I grant you that one. But so now you're launching into the fact that you're saying that you're creating this idea that Tubal-Cain had to learn it from somebody. And actually it should say, because I don't know what version you're reading, it doesn't say he was an instructor, it just says that who made all types of bronze and iron tools.
I'm reading King James. Hold on, let me get the different translation.
You gonna read King James?
1611. I got a Sefer.
You gonna so
the Sefer say instructor.
I don't want the Roman version, but I'm gonna read a bad translation of what the Romans had with King James.
But King James got his translation from the Septuagint. So I got a Septuagint too.
King
So the
James.
Septuagint says he was a smith and a manufacturer both of brass and iron.
Right. Doesn't say he was an instructor of nothing.
But who taught him how to be a smith? Who taught him that?
You do realize people can learn things without having been taught. That's called discoveries. We discover something.
So you can learn how to be a blacksmith. I mean, you can just innately know how to be a blacksmith.
Okay, so there had to be a first blacksmith, right? There had to be, and
according to the Ifa religion, Ogun.
Hold on, we ain't going to other religions and all this bullshit. You mean to tell me you cannot? No, you stop. You can't. You mean to tell me that in your mind's eye, you have never seen somebody with curiosity, and they got a fire, and they burning shit in the fire all the time. And then one day they said, well, let me see if I can burn this. I wonder how hot I got to get this fire to cause this little shit that I just dug up, this iron that I just dug up. Let me see how hot I can make this fire to make this melt into something. That's what curiosity is, the mother of all inventions, right? I know they say lack is, but curiosity is truly the mother of all inventions.
So without human nature, right, we have our five senses, right? So in the early hominids, I believe they had the same, the early Homo sapiens, I believe they had the same, they had the same functions, right? And I know that we are like, how can I say this? Even though we have a working brain and everything, it's more so imitation. You know what I'm saying? We have eyes, so we'll imitate what we see. Would you agree to that?
No. Well, yes and no. Yes and no. We do imitate what we see, but we also discover shit, figures things out.
So okay. So could a toddler, if you send him a mallet and a stick, without him seeing how that goes together, will he drill a hole in the mallet, create a hole in it, and put it on a stick?
If he had a need for something, it's possible. Yes, he will figure out how to utilize that tool in such a way to fulfill his need. That's how most inventions occur, is that you have a need, and out of your curiosity, you have a need, and then you figure out a method to satisfy the need, or you're just freaking curious about something and you experiment and you come up with some shit.
So why we don't see animals with tools and sticks and things?
But we do.
Well,
there are primates that use tools. Like I forgot what the name, I think it's a chimpanzee or some other monkey. They have figured out how to use a stick, stick it into a beehive, and then lick the damn honey off instead of them reaching their hand in there.
That's because they probably seen somebody do it.
See, now you're just making up shit. See, when I demonstrate to you that now that something happens according to what you're saying, and this is with a lower conscious being, meaning a being that doesn't have the amount of reasoning that we have. And when you're trying to compare other animals that don't have the amount of reasoning, that's comparing a fucking apple to an antelope, right? There's no way to compare those two. You can't compare a dog to a human and then say, well, why aren't dogs doing it? They don't have the capacity of reasoning and thought that we have.
It's not just that. We don't see no animals running around with tools. But look,
yes, we do. We don't see them run around with the same tools we have, but other animals will use natural tools to do something. Like we've seen other monkeys using rocks to crack open coconuts and things like that. Hard-shelled items that they figured out how to use a tool.
Them on the ground.
Instead of slamming on the ground, we've seen some use a tool to do.
They probably shot that monkey with some.
Oh my gosh, dude! Are you going to So everything for you is they had to have. They must have.
You're absolutely right, because I don't like doing the conspiracy things. But But I wanted to say this. Every ancient
Hold on.
civilization or religion, I just want to say
no,
this.
no, because you're going way to because no, we get
when it comes to tools.
Oh my gosh.
They was always taught by a deity.
No, they were not. Those are the stories, the fairy tale stories that y'all believe. Every religion talks about some deity teaching them how to use something instead of realizing that people just figured shit out because we have a higher consciousness.
How to use tools and how do we figure out to create fire? Because the story that they gave us is absolutely wrong.
We don't know. Oh my gosh, why are you asking the fucking question and then you keep talking?
I wasn't finished. I was trying to clarify, but go ahead.
I didn't need your clarification. You asked the question, I can answer it. I'm not that dumb, right? You asked the question, how do we create fire? Nobody knows how the first person understood saw fire manifest, however it manifested, or even realize how to hit two rocks together or rub wood against another piece of wood and create enough friction. Nobody knows, because that's something we're never going to know, how man first figured out how to make fire. It's an unknown, but it's certainly not. Prometheus didn't bring it to us. There's no God that brought it to us.
How we learn how to plant, cultivate? Because we went from hunter-gatherers to civilizations to cultivators, foragers.
It's most likely that somebody observed that when plants flower, release their seed in the ground, and wherever that seed fell, a new plant grew, and then realized, what if I do this on purpose? Just like nobody taught us about it. I got one for you. Irrigation. Irrigation was developed because people living, as far as we know, the first time we see the oldest irrigation systems that we do see is people living near a waterbed, a river, and then realizing that if they want to increase the amount of farming because their population was growing, to dig a tunnel or dig a trench along the river and let that water flow down that trench, and now you can farm further away from the river. Nobody taught us that. That's just observation and critical thinking.
But the plants don't release seed into the ground.
Yes, they do.
Which plant though? Don't the plant? Okay, you have roots, and it sprouts, and it begins to grow. It blooms. It buds. It starts to bloom. I think an insect comes. It's pollinated. Then it blossoms. Then it grows leaves.
You talking about flowers?
Branches, leaves, and then fruit. And the seed is in the fruit. I think that's how the process goes.
It depends on what you're talking about, but you ever blew a dandelion?
Yes.
You know, with the little.
Mm-hmm.
Now, without you blowing on it, is kind of like when they sit naturally and the wind blows and then they just blow off and they go out and those seeds plant themselves in the ground and make new dandelions. There's a big ass tree in my front yard. It's been dropping all these little seeds from the tree. And those should, if they are able to survive, grow new trees. My wife grew a tomato plant. The tomato plant, she grew a tomato plant, She put a potato, I said tomato. She put a potato in water and it grew a long ass plant, and it budded, and they got seeds that will then fall off and start a whole nother potato plant. That's how it works.
You assuming that's how the seeds fall. You're assuming that. It could be insects that do that. It could be whatever what I'm saying is, could be a process that's not observed that's causing those seeds to fall out of the tree. A plant.
You know I smoke cigars. You see that I smoke cigars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I sit on my front porch sometimes, literally smoking a cigar, and the fucking seeds just fall out the tree, and there's nothing in the tree. There's no birds. There's nothing in the tree. They just fall.
What about insects?
These seeds are this big around. You know, ain't no insect knocking that seed down. It's this big around.
What tree you talking about? I don't know. I got a big tree right here in front of my house, and I don't see no seeds just dropping out.
Bruh.
Like it's things with the wind blows and the seeds come out.
I can't. You no, sir. Sir, you are ridiculous. I can't even have a conversation with a person like that. I'm trying. I was trying my best, but you gotta go because you are ridiculous. You are ridiculous. You will ignore easily observable things. You will ignore everything we have learned about observation of plants, animals, everything, and ignore it in order to fit your narrative. My God. It is ridiculous. We can't even stay on one subject matter either. You jump soon as you realize who taught him how to make the tools then? Because Enoch is saying that the damn angels taught man how to make tools, but the Bible, the Genesis says otherwise. That was the whole fucking point. And then I ain't even get to the fact that the Bible says that the Nephilim were great men of renown and heroes of old, but Enoch says that they was eating up all the people and eating all this other shit, which you had admitted in your version of the story when you saying it, Enoch. You reading shit that contradict itself. It's enough that the Bible already does. And then you're going to read from the King James. Oh my damn. Please do the history on how the King James Bible came about, because it is one of the worst translations ever created. I'm going to have to get another cigar. Because this dude, that was just ridiculous. I was hoping to have an what is it? How do I say Osa? Osa? Oka? Let me say it one more time.
So I don't know why you're talking about the Book of Enoch, because it's not what is it called?
Okay. Wait, first, are you over 21?
What are you doing?
Are you over 21?
Yeah.
Okay. And the conversation got there because we just went all over the place. He believes that he accepts the first book of Enoch.
No, they're not. It's not correct. It's a rabbinic, like, rabbis just make up stories, and it's a Jewish thing. It's not even recognized by the church.
I couldn't even get that far with him because he keeps jumping around all over the place into other subject matters. But yes, I didn't even get to the point where the Book of Enoch wasn't even written until like 2nd century BCE, and it's nothing more than
I just came up to try to understand, like, what does it mean by deconstructing Christian? Like, what do you mean by that? Like,
you're deconstructed from Christianity. I was constructed into Christianity, and then I deconstructed from it and walked away from the religion.
But like, what does that entail, though?
It entails coming to the knowledge and understanding of all the falsehoods and contradictions within the Bible, and then not believing in this Bible or this God anymore.
You said what? Say it again? I can't hear you.
Coming to the knowledge and understanding that this Bible is false and contradictory, and then not believing in this God or this book anymore.
Okay, so what are your main objections about Christianity, like, in general? So like that they help you.
That it is a made up fairy tale, that it is a lie. That is not true.
Made up fairy tale about it, like, specifically.
The flood never happened.
Yeah, I don't believe the flood happened either.
Exodus never happened. Garden of Eden never happened.
I don't believe the Garden of Eden never happened, and the church fathers didn't. The church fathers. You got I think Augustine wrote a book about not interpreting Genesis literally, and there was this Origin. Origin also wrote a book about not interpreting Genesis literally. So that's just what I follow. Not everybody follows the same thing, but those two main church fathers wrote books about that.
And Jesus never was a Messiah, and Jesus never walked on water and did any miracles.
Can you prove that Jesus never walked on water?
I don't have to prove that he never walked on water. He can't. He didn't exist. He didn't do any of those things. If you make the claim, you have to prove the claim.
No, you're saying your claim is that it's a lie. What's the proof of that claim?
That there is no other accounts of.
That's an independent claim.
That there are no other accounts of Jesus walking on water outside of the Bible. There's no other account of anybody ever walking on water. And man, a human body is impossible.
That's not evidence against your. That's not evidence for your claim.
It's evidence for me.
If you say unicorns do not exist, that's an independent claim. You have to prove that unicorns do not exist.
Unicorns don't exist.
Okay,
we have never
evidence for that claim.
We have never found any evidence of a unicorn, and unicorns.
Yeah, that's not just.
Oh my dude. Let me tell you something. If you're gonna keep interrupting me, you're gonna be going quicker than the other guy. All right. So stop doing that. Shit, I ain't even hungry yet, and y'all making me hungry. But we also know that unicorns have never existed in any time frame of history other than in literature. That there's never been any material evidence of a unicorn ever existing. So until such is found, a unicorn has never existed.
That's not how things work.
Really, it's exactly how you would do the same thing. So
no, that's not how things work. So if you were to say,
really?
You're saying a unicorn does not exist because unicorn doesn't exist because I've never seen a unicorn. You have to prove for that claim to be true. Unicorns do not exist. You have to have evidence for that claim. There's not even a justification for that belief. That's why strong atheism just doesn't make sense. And atheists agree with it.
So, all right. You can say. Oh my gosh, dude! Okay, stop fucking interrupting me when I start talking.
I don't know why you're so mad. Just keep going.
Because you keep interrupting me after I've told you not to interrupt me, and you still interrupt me. Like usually, I can have a decent conversation with people because they understand that once I say don't do this, they stop doing it.
There's a delay.
I don't care if there's a delay. Stop interrupting me. That's your fault. Now, in the same vein that you will sit up here and say something like, oh, that's not a justifiable argument. If I were to ask you, do minotaurs exist? Or does the god Pan exist? Or does Zeus exist? Or any other deity exist? Are you going to be able to demonstrate proof that they don't exist?
No.
So then they do exist.
That's not what I said. That's not the point of my argument.
That is very much the point of your argument.
No, that's not what I was trying to say. I was just trying to say you cannot say that. I can't make the claim the Minotaur does not exist. That claim doesn't even make sense. I can say Minotaurs probably do not exist. I can say Minotaurs probably do not exist because I haven't demonstrated evidence of a Minotaur existing. I've been shown actual verifiable evidence that the Minotaur exists. But I can't say exactly the Minotaur does not exist. That's a claim that requires justifiable evidence.
Okay, sure. So I will change the language. Jesus probably never walked on water and probably never exorcised demons and probably never did any of the miracles that is claimed to have been done. Does that make you feel better?
Sure. And how is I don't understand the significance of that, and how you reach that point.
because there's no evidence of him doing any of those things outside of the biblical literature. And he does, and then here's the other aspect of it. Jesus never fulfilled what the Jewish Messiah was supposed to be and do.
That's not true at all.
What is your evidence of him fulfilling?
We can go into that.
What is your evidence of him fulfilling the prophecy?
I think there's main things like he's supposed to. That's supposed to run repentance. That John
wait. Start over. Your phone blinked out.
Oh, my fault. There's supposed to be someone before him that warns of repentance, which is John the Baptist. They say Elijah's going to come back, and we saw that Elijah. Well, Christians believe that Elijah came back.
Where's that?
John the Baptist.
Where's that?
The specific verse where it says Elijah will come back before the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me pull up the verse real quick.
And then you have to prove that John was that Messiah, was that precursor, was Elijah, right?
No, I don't specifically have to prove that. I'm just showing you from face value why it matches up. Like going into depth, like to prove that John the Baptist was Elijah. That's a separate argument. But like you're saying that he doesn't match those things. You have to have a reason why John the Baptist was not Elijah.
Okay, where is it in the Bible that says that that will be the Messiah?
Where does it say Elijah will come before the Messiah? It says Malachi 4:5-6. Malachi 4:5-6, and Matthew 17 verse 10 to 13 quotes it and references that. Malachi chapter 4 verse 5-6. And then you can also talk about so he comes from Elijah. It says that he will make peace. And Paul talks about how Christ came to make peace, which is the peace between the Jews and the Gentiles. That's how he made peace. And that's how God is named the Prince of Peace. What else? What else?
So
it also said he will come from David and
okay.
Jesus' genealogy. It says that he comes from David.
So okay, wait, hold on. So Malachi 4, because you're gonna say it, I'm gonna go read it. So Malachi 4 is not talking about Jesus at all, right? In the sense of Jesus, first century Jesus. Malachi 4 is talking about the great day of judgment that is in more reference to Revelations of when this guy comes back and judge the entire world. It also talks about how he's going to turn the heart of parents to their children and the heart of children to their parents. Whereas Jesus said that he comes to cause enmity between mother and daughter, father and son. So that's not talking about Jesus first century Jesus.
Can you focus on the actual argument? I'm saying
that is the actual argument. You said that it is showing Jesus as Messiah, and I'm saying that that's not.
That's not what I said. That is not what I said. I said that it says that Elijah will come before the Messiah, correct?
In the great day of judgment, not John. That's my point. It's not speaking of the time frame of first century. This is a judgment day at the final end.
Every single Jew can tell you that Elijah comes before the Messiah. I don't know what's
You do. Every rabbi that I've ever spoken of does not believe in Jesus, first of all, as the Messiah. And in the second aspect of it, this is their.
We're talking about messianic prophecies.
Yes, we are. We're talking about messianic prophecy, and the Jews do not believe that Jesus was the Messiah.
And
the Jews think
what's the rest?
the Jews take Malachi 4 to mean at this day of judgment, when all things are going to be done, that Elijah will come before the judgment of the world. This is not in reference to Jesus, first century Jesus, which is one of the reasons they don't accept Jesus as a Messiah.
No, I don't think you understand what I'm trying to say. What argument are you trying to say by what argument do you think I'm trying to make by pulling up Malachi 4?
The argument that you're making is the one that you stated, which is that Jesus fulfilled the prophecy of the Messiah in Malachi 4 because John the Baptist came before him, and that John the Baptist was Elijah reincarnated.
Yeah.
And when I'm saying is that no midrash, no the Talmud, none of the midrashes, no Jewish rabbi sees Malachi 4 as talking about first century Jesus, which would then exclude John. They are talking about actual Messiah Elijah coming down before the day of judgment, not somebody in the likeness of Elijah.
I don't like the can you show me specifically what am I trying to say? So Jews believe that the Elijah will come before the Messiah. I can show you quotes of
do Jews believe that Jesus was Messiah?
What? This has no significance.
Yes, it does. You just made it significant when you said Jews believe that Elijah will come before the Messiah. Do Jews believe Jesus was the Messiah?
Some Jews do. Some Jews did around the 1st and 2nd century.
And they became Christians. And they are Jewish Christians. Meaning that they left their religion to be a part of a new religion.
But being a Jew today, what I mean by being a Jew today is I mean that a Jew is someone who doesn't believe that Jesus is the Messiah and follows the Talmud and Tanakh. And I mean, not the Talmud and Tanakh, Torah and Tanakh and rabbinic literature and whatever that is. And what I'm saying, I'm talking to you, I'm like, saying this right here. Jews believe that Elijah will come before the Messiah. And I'm saying Elijah came before the Messiah. I'm not trying to say that, Jews, because of this, Jews must believe that Jesus. That's not the reference that I'm making.
Okay.
There's differences of interpretation.
But
rabbis argue about things all the time.
Did Elijah come, or did John the Baptist have his cult fallen?
What do you say?
Did Elijah come back?
Yeah, Elijah came back.
He was. So he came back it was Elijah. His name was Elijah. He showed. So John the Baptist is reincarnated into Elijah. So you believe in reincarnation?
Not reincarnated, but he is Elijah in the sense of the thing that he makes.
No, it says that I will send you the prophet Elijah, who never died, according to the Bible. He never died. And it says, I will send you the prophet Elijah. Not somebody who's going to do or act in the sense of Elijah, but it says, I will send you the prophet Elijah.
Yeah, the Bible uses metaphors. The Bible uses metaphors.
Now it's a metaphor.
It's very simple.
So what is the terrible day of the Lord?
Jesus really said that John the Baptist is alive. In Matthew 17, verse 10, they said,
so Jesus,
the disciples asked him, saying,
that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Jesus claimed.
When they say, can I finish?
Sure. Well, you can finish to the point where I'm not doing any preaching and shit. Okay.
I'm not preaching. But I'm saying it says, and the disciple.
Your phone.
That's what I'm saying. When
your phone blinked on.
That the scribes say that Elijah must first come. Hello?
Your phone blinked off. I missed some of what you said because your phone blinked.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
And the disciples asked him, saying, when then say that the scribes that Elijah must first come? And Jesus answered and said to them, Elijah truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elijah has come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatever soever they listed. Likewise, so Then the disciples understood that he spoke unto them of John the Baptist. That's what the verse said.
So according to Malachi 4, it says that I will send you the prophet Elijah before the great terrible day of the Lord comes. So when Jesus came, was that the great terrible day of the Lord? What is the great terrible day of the Lord?
The end time, judgment day.
All right. So if the great terrible day of the Lord is the end time and Elijah comes before the great terrible day, then that is not first century. That would be end time.
Huh?
Elijah is coming before the great and terrible day of the Lord. You just said that the great terrible day of the Lord is the end times. So Elijah, according to Malachi 4, is going to come right before the great terrible day of the Lord.
Yeah.
So Elijah precedes the Lord at the end times. This is why many Christians believe that Elijah will be one of the two witnesses. Because Malachi 4 says that he's going to come before the great terrible day of the Lord, which is the judgment. So this prophecy does not fit Jesus of first century.
I don't. The great and terrible judgment of the day of the Lord is the destruction of the destruction of the temple.
You just said a minute ago that it was the end times. Which one is
That's
it?
the end times.
So when the temple was destroyed, you're saying that was the end time.
Yeah, that's the end times.
So when did a third of the population die?
You're quoting Revelation, which is symbolic, and it was a dream from John, and it's completely symbolic. There's no white horse flying in the air. That's not what they want. That's not what the author wanted you to understand.
So the lake of fire is so then all of it is symbolic then, right?
Revelation isn't symbolic. It literally tells you in the first chapter that it's a dream and it's symbolic.
Okay, so then all of it is just symbolism, so none of it is to be taken literally then.
Not literally, but you're supposed to get a theological you're supposed to gain theological insight from it, just like Genesis, just like just like Origin and Augustine talked about. Because Genesis is not to be taken literally has historical fact doesn't mean that it's just a random story. It gives you theological insight.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
So this whole idea of the Lord coming back is just metaphorical. So he's not really coming back. It's just a metaphor.
No, there's not a rapture, but
I didn't say anything about a rapture. According to Revelation, Jesus is supposed to come back and have this battle at Megiddo, but that's all metaphorical. So he's really not coming back and having this battle.
Always left up to your own interpretation. This is the interpretation of the pre-Nicene Fathers. This is the interpretation of
I don't care about their
fathers.
Why are their
interpretations
are no better than
the students of the apostle. Like these are the interpretations.
Why are their interpretations is no better than somebody interpreting it today? They are not special. So, but you're going away from what
they were the closest. They were taught by the people that were walking with the apostles and around.
No, they weren't. No, they weren't. Those people would have been long dead by the time frame of Origen and Augustine and Jerome and all those people. They were long, long dead.
The pre-Nicene fathers were long dead.
No, you didn't hear what I said. You said that they were walking around with people who had been with Jesus. Those people would have been dead before Origen and all of them were born.
So you're saying that the pre-Nicene fathers, none of them had any connection at all to the apostles or the people around Jesus at that time or anything?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so around, you can look at the writings around. You have oral tradition.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Look, you're going 11 miles around the corner. When was Origen born? You want me to tell you? Or do you need me to look it up? You need me to tell you, or are you going to look it up? When was Origen born?
185 AD.
Okay, 185.
No.
Would there have been anyone who walked with Jesus alive in 185?
No, I said Origen was taught by the apostles and the teachers, the students of the apostles. That's what I said.
Well, he was not taught by the apostles. So take that part out of your sentence. Would he have been taught by people could he have been taught by people who were students of the apostles?
Yeah, okay, all right.
So
it says that Origen was not taught by the apostles.
Right, wasn't taught by the apostles.
Educated by Clement of Alexandria, Clement of Alexandria met Paul. Yeah, Paul actually Clement of Alexandria's name is actually in the Bible, by the way.
So you're saying that Clement, dude, goddamn. Okay, so you're saying Clement Clement of Alexandria was taught by Paul. When did? Hold on, wait. I got
name is in the Bible.
What are you talking about? Hold on. Let me look this up and make sure I'm right about this. Okay. You said Clement of Alexandria was taught by Paul, right? Right?
Hold on, let me. I'm trying to tell you the right information.
That's what you said. You said Clement was taught by Paul. Paul died in either 64 or 65 CE. Clement wasn't born until 150 CE.
No, there was this one church father that was in the Bible, one of Paul's letters. Oh, no, in one of Paul's letters. I'm trying to get you the right information. It says,
I think let's see. Okay, so to help you out, let me see if I can help you out with this one. All right, because you said Clement of Alexandria, and I think you meant Clement of Rome, but let me look up Clement of Rome. Clement of Rome died in 100.
Oh, it says.
You had to admit Clement of Rome.
It says Clement. It doesn't say specifically Clement of Rome or Clement. It must have been another Clement.
It has look. I'm trying to help you out. In order for your statement to reflect any kind of truth, it has to be Clement of Rome. Clement of Rome was born in 35 CE. Paul died around 64 CE. So Clement of Rome is the only one that so it's not Clement of Alexandria.
But I'm saying, like, you can trace these pre-Nicene fathers down by he taught this person, 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 he taught this person. That's what I'm saying.
And that's fine, except that's fine to a certain extent. Clement of Rome could have been taught by Paul. It's possible. Their time frames overlap. Right? The issue, though, becomes Paul is just someone who claims that he met Jesus on the road to Damascus. Paul was never taught by anybody who walked with Jesus. He claims that all his revelations came from him meeting Jesus.
In that same exact book, it literally said that he got confirmed by the followers of Jesus. Jesus told him, go and meet my follower, and he go and tell them. And that's when his eyesight got restored.
Yeah, in his own. And who wrote that story? A follower of Paul. Luke wrote that story. None of the people who claim to be a disciple wrote about, hey, yeah, we confirmed Paul. It is a follower of Paul who claims that the other apostles agreed with him and minted him in as an apostle, but yet Paul speaks very differently from what the other apostles wrote.
Paul invented Christianity. Paul, that's what you're saying.
No, that is not what I said.
There was no Christian community before Paul. That's what
I did not say that at all. You are inferring that I'm saying that Paul manifested his own version of Christianity, to be sure. Because as we know, there were various versions of Christianity in the 1st century, 2nd century, 3rd century, 4th century, all the way up to today. There have always been various versions of Christianity.
It's not. It's not. I can give you an example.
What are you talking about is not. Your own church fathers admit that there were other various versions of Christianity as they claim them to be heresies.
No, what I'm saying is that there's one truth. You have the early church fathers who were literally quoting but before we even found any manuscript, like actually lengthy manuscripts of the old of the New Testament. They were literally going back and forth, quoting long sections of the New Testament in discussion, explaining, like saying, "Oh, this section explains supports my viewpoint, and this especially explains my viewpoint."
Right, my viewpoint. They were all claiming that this supports my viewpoint, and when those church fathers were also saying, "But that guy Marcion, he's a heretic, and he has his own version of Christianity. That guy Valentinus, he's a heretic, and he's expressing his own version of Christianity," and so on and so forth.
It's the same book. It's the same book.
No, it's not. It is not the same book because some of them accept, and even within your Bible, they quote Enoch.
Marcion was reading a different
and you see how you just interrupted me again. But
my fault. Go ahead.
They all quoted other aspects of books that are not even in your Bible today, but these were quoted by both sides of the fence. There were various versions of Christianity, and all of them thought they was true.
But I'm saying there was one book. Marcion was not reading a different book than Clement of Rome or any of the very early pre-Nicene fathers. They were not. He was reading the same exact Bible.
There was no Bible at that time frame.
Not Bible. They were reading the same exact scripture.
No, they were not. Do you realize that right now it is being hotly debated among scholars as to, because the previous thought process was that Marcion wrote his gospel based on, and you realize Marcion wrote his own gospel, but Marcion wrote a gospel, and they originally thought that Marcion copied Luke, but now it's being debated that Luke may just be a copy of Marcion.
This is not relevant. Like, it's not relevant.
No, it's very relevant because you're claiming that they all read the same thing, and they all did not read the same thing. If they all read the same, let me give you an example of how they all weren't reading the same thing. Many people, especially Black people, like to jump onto the Ethiopian Bible, right? Because the Ethiopian Bible has more books than the canonized Bible. One of the reasons why the Ethiopian Bible has this is because the Coptic church, the church in Alexandria, is the church that taught the Ethiopians. And at the time frame that they taught the Ethiopians, they included the book of Enoch, the book of Jasher, Jubilees, all these other books as part of scripture. But then 20 to 30 years after the Ethiopians were taught this, the church canonized a Bible that did not include what they were originally teaching the Ethiopians. They were not all reading the same thing.
This is what I mean, right? The Gospels, they were reading the same thing. John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, or whatever gospel you thought came first. Marcion read that same exact verse. He read the same exact verse. Can you show me proof that he read a different verse where it said something else? That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean. These people
you are making it.
These people were quoting it, quoting this book from like 90 AD to around from 90 AD.
And just because they quoted one book,
the dates, which is dated to the 100 AD, which includes quotations of the Gospels, says the same exact thing that they were saying before that. So it's very simple to track. It's not hard. You're acting like they're like this guy just wrote a random book, and this guy just wrote a random book, and this is wrote a book. No.
Yes.
You have to follow the oral tradition.
Oh my gosh.
You get to where you need to go. It's very simple.
And all I'm saying to you is that there were many different books from many different oral traditions that came into print, and many different scrolls were being read by many different people, which is why you have many different versions of Christianity. You're trying to indicate that. Don't interrupt me. Stop fucking interrupting me.
You're a grown man. Why are you screaming?
Because you keep doing what I asked you not to do. You are a young man, so respect the fact that I asked you not to interrupt me, but you keep doing it.
Well, did you just call me a C-O-O-N?
A what?
You just call me a C-O-O-N?
A C-O-O-M. What the fuck is a C? I said you are a young man. Stop interrupting me. What the hell are you talking about?
What did you say?
Good Lord. Now, this is the fourth time I'm asking you, do not interrupt me when I'm talking.
My bad. It's no disrespect. I don't want to disrespect you. You're older than me. I don't want to disrespect
you. It doesn't matter if I was older than you or younger than you. Interrupting people is just, you shouldn't do it when you're on somebody's live. That's just rude.
Yeah.
All right?
All right.
Now, the whole point was the fact that the whole point that I was saying is that there were multiple scrolls of different books going around in 1st century, 2nd century, 3rd century, that many different people were reading from. And through all those, people were coming up with their own versions of Christianity. There were multiple versions of Christianity in the 1st century. There was not just one. That's it.
And I'm saying that this isn't because of books like the book of Jasher, the book of Enoch. These are Jewish books. You know that, right?
Mhm.
You know, Enoch is a Jewish book, right? It's not a Christian book. It's a Jewish book. It's a Jewish rabbinic story.
But it's accepted
It's
by,
like-
you do realize it's accepted by Christian communities, and it was heavily accepted by Christian communities in first and second century on up
And
to
this isn't
now.
relevant. It's not relevant.
It is
This
very,
is not relevant.
it is relevant to the fact that I'm saying that there were different variations of Christianity. Why is that so difficult to understand? Were there different variations of Christianity?
The Ethiopian church believes that Jesus is God. The Ethiopian church believes that Jesus is the Messiah. The Ethiopian church believes in the Trinity. The Ethiopian church believes in these type of things. Just because they accept these random Jewish books and these infancy, I don't know. I think they have any infancy gospels or
I don't think so.
Gnostic texts in there.
I don't think the infancy gospels are in their book.
Well, yeah, you're right. There was a lot of Gnostic texts circulating around the 1st to 2nd century.
Mm-hmm.
But again, this literally has no relevance. There was literally already a collected Christian community at that time. They were reading the same stuff. They were passing these texts through oral tradition. How do you think that the pre-Nicene fathers were quoting multiple?
We're going in. I'm going to stop you. I'm going to stop you because you're just going in a circle right now, not like going in a straight line. No, you're going in a circle because you're just keep repeating the same thing over and over again. That is simply not true, because there were many variations of Christianity, but you're saying that because they all had some books that they all read and repeated in their statements, that makes it a wholeness of Christianity. And it's just simply not true. They were reading, sure, they might have had certain books that they all read, but they also read other books as well. And what I'm saying is that because they also read other books, as well as they all might have been reading Matthew, they all might have been reading Mark, but some of them were reading the Shepherd of Hamas. And because they were reading the Shepherd of Hamas and they saw that as scripture, they had their own different version of Christianity. Although they may have had things that they agreed upon, they still had different versions, in the same way as you got 42,000 different denominations today.
And how does a different version of a religion like invalidate the belief? And I understand that's the relevant I'm trying to understand. How does it invalidate the belief?
It invalidates the belief because if the word of God is true and inerrant and it is the word of God, then there would not be confusion and they all would agree.
The Gospels were not written by God.
They are claimed to be inspired by God.
But they're not written by God.
So then they are written by man, and so everything you believe is based on. There you go again, interrupting me in mid freaking sentence. And even if there was a delay, you heard me talking. I know you heard me talking when you interrupted me. But instead of yelling at you, you just be gone, because you need to learn how to have a conversation, right? You really do need to learn how to have a conversation, especially on a podcast where you do not have the authority to just interrupt the host at any given time that you feel like it, right? You have your belief, that's fine. You have studied to a certain degree, and that's good. But you cannot critically think through the process that people believing in different aspects of this same so-called religion, but having different ideas as to how to perform the religion, is an indication that this God, whose word is supposed to be inerrant and supposed to be perfect, that it is a religion of confusion. And if you are saying that God didn't write it, then man wrote it. And if man wrote it, to finish what I was saying about that, if man wrote it, then this is all based on the perspective of each individual man who is doing the writing, and then each individual person who then reads it, and then the people that follow them, which is why you have Pauline what is it called? How you say it? Paulinian Christianity. That's probably not the right way. Paulinian Christianity is why you had people who are Thomasinians. That's why you had Marcions. That's why you had all these different variations of Christianity. And if your God cannot hammer down what his word is, then your God is just like any other man-made God. It's just an idea, an excuse for what you don't understand or know in the world. I know this man's name is not, or it could be a woman. Rafiki. 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 I think Rafiki might have did that by accident. Can't even talk about the subject today. Miss Fifi, how you doing?
Oh boy, I'm just holding on. I just can't believe. I don't know if they believe that it is true that these things happen and how all of these stories affect the whole planet.
Mm-hmm.
It's something else. Just deconstructing. It's easy to deconstruct, but you say, that is crazy as hell. How in the world am I supposed to believe that? And how the scriptures might be interpreted when you lie. Yeah.
I can't.
And the coming back and the dreams of Paul. I mean, all over the place. Today it was. And one of the comments I made is, I love that face, because you were making all kind of facial expressions. I mean, you were contorting your face in so many ways. You should go back and look at this.
No, I'm not going to do that.
I don't know if you were frustrated or you were like, I can't believe this guy.
It's, the lack of being able to think critically and reasonably because of these religions is astounding to me, because they will say something and then it could be wrong, but then they'll still try to justify it. Like the guy before him is like, okay, dude, you can watch. He doesn't even understand how plant life continue to reproduce itself by releasing, the seed from the tree or the plant, and then you want to start throwing in, oh, maybe insects and that. It's like, dude, seriously? Like, are you really going there? And then the last young man, one, all that interrupting, I'm like, look, I'm a patient person, but you only gonna interrupt me so many times before I just get tired of trying to have a discussion with you. But then it's like, you are talking about these church fathers. I try to help you out by telling you which church father could have learned from Paul, but still, Paul never met Jesus, and Paul's confirmation was done by one of his disciples. So that's like, not to be political, that's like J.D. Vance saying that, yeah, Trump is this. He's his vice president. Of course he would. Just like Joe Biden would do the same for Obama. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not taking the word of some dude who's a follower and enamored by somebody. That makes it valid.
And I did not like all the misogyny that this is the church fathers and bishops and the disciples and all of these men, interpreting whatever, I guess, what they wrote.
Yeah, because
women were writing at that time, I guess. If so, it was very rare.
If a woman was writing at that time frame, they would have dismissed that woman right off the bat. Just the fact that they even had a gospel according to Mary Magdalene and a gospel of Mary they would dismiss that, and as they did dismiss them, on the simple fact that it's a woman.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's the thing, when they get into the church father, you are expecting me to take spiritual information from people who saw women as property, who also saw that human beings can be property. They have no spiritual wisdom to offer me because they don't even have the humanity to offer me anything. Right. So I don't care about these church fathers. They are just that. That's like me saying that a preacher, I should listen to a bishop or a preacher today because they're a church father. No, that doesn't work. Universe, I only do one person at a time.
So, yeah, I'm glad you unraveled all that. Thank you for your patience. Like I said, and like I tell people, all of this, did it make any sense to, a little Chinese girl, or a little Indian girl, or indigenous person during that time? Because no one knew anything about it. Like, it was affecting me at that time. Because it didn't affect everyone in the world. It's just talking about a certain group.
Yeah.
And they're writing their history, and you think it all involves you. It's just crazy.
Yeah. And they look at this trash from the lens of today, thinking that this God who came to these small little group of people, and he meant this for the world, but yet he chose the most barbaric way to expand this belief.
Right.
Without violence, Christianity would not exist. Right? That's the only reason it exists today, violence. It wasn't done through love or discipleship. It was through violence. My ancestors would have never believed this religion if the violence of Christian slavery and persecution never happened. They would have never been Christian. So that tells me a lot about a religion if the only way you can get it across to people is through violence. And today, they get it through social and mental violence, by trying to ostracize you or try to make you feel guilty or something of that nature. So through mental trauma is the only way that and I do see bringing a child up in a religion as mental trauma as well, but only through that mental trauma can they get people to convert over to this religion. It is certainly not because people are looking at them and saying, ooh, I want to be Christian because look how good those people are, right? And they make stupid statements like what the young man before is making now, saying that Christianity was in Africa before Europe, which is a complete and total half lie. Yes, Egypt is in Africa, but Egypt was not in sub-Saharan Africa. It came through the sword in sub-Saharan Africa, which is the overwhelming majority of Africa. And the teachings of Christianity were in Europe in and around the same damn time, because he's talking about Paul. Like, he was going on about Paul. Paul wasn't writing to anybody in Egypt. Paul was writing to the people in Ephesus. He was writing to the people in Rome. Where is Rome? Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what in the 3 levels of hell are you trying to convince? The idea is to try to convince Black people that they should be Christian, irregardless of the persecution that Christianity brought to the overwhelming majority of Africa through force and through violence. And say that, oh, because it came into Egypt, then it came into Africa beforehand. And then it went down into Ethiopia, so it came into Africa beforehand. Egypt and Ethiopia is not even the measurable part of Africa to be able to make that claim. So they persecute, even in their trying to understand, even in them trying to repeat their history and modify the history, that is still a form of persecution when you try to change history to fit your narrative.
You know, and I think that's what those young men are coming up. They're trying to change the narrative to, to what they believe
Mm-hmm.
and what they don't believe.
Exactly. All the time. Right. And they're so insufferable because it doesn't matter how much logic you and truth of history you display to them, they're still going to try to say something in regards to how old the Bible. They'll talk about the Ethiopian eunuch, right? And it's like, okay, this Ethiopian eunuch supposedly learned it and went and converted the Ethiopians, but yet in that time frame of first century, Ethiopia or the Axiom Empire was still polytheistic and never converted to Christianity until 330. So therefore, since history demonstrates that they never converted until then the Bible story is a lie. But they won't accept that. To them, it has to be, no, our Bible said that the Ethiopian eunuch went down and then he converted, the people in Ethiopia. No, he did not.
No.
Right? He did not. And then, I love the little people who, Haile Selassie. That whole story about Menelik the First is a made-up story. It is not reality. Menelik was not the son of Solomon who went up there to visit with his daddy, and his daddy offered him the Ark of the Covenant. And then in one version, he took it. In another version, he didn't take it, but then his friends stole it and flew it across on a magic carpet into Ethiopia. And then you got a whole bunch of people who surround some damn church believing that there's an ark in there and they've never seen it. Right? This
I
is,
know.
yeah.
It's something.
Exactly. And like Kevin is saying, Ethiopia, the word Ethiopia just meant burnt face. And that's just how they refer to people who were dark skinned in that region. The empire still would have been the Axiom Empire. At the earliest, it would have been the Demit or the Sabians. And those people never converted over to Judaism or Christianity at any of those time frames. They didn't, Christianity wasn't a thing for them until 330 CE. And then Judaism was a much later program that came into Egypt, religion that came into Ethiopia, sorry. Once they had become Ethiopia, then they started making up these damn stories. Because even the queen that they claim, Queen Candace and all them, there's no evidence of those people ever existing in Ethiopia.
Yeah.
And they,
I'm thinking about Solomon. Solomon's supposed to be the wisest man and the richest man on earth. Correct?
According to the story. Yep.
Why don't they know where he's at? I mean, why don't they know where he's buried at? Somebody got to know where the richest and wisest man is buried.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that there would have been such a tomb made for him that they would have always known where his tomb is, but no one knows, right? No one knows. And Solomon, could he have existed? It's possible that Solomon could have existed. Simply because we do have the Tel Dan Stele does say the house of David. Now, we don't know what the house of David consists of. Was he just a rich man? Was he a warlord? Or was he the king of Israel? Was there a united Israel? We don't have that information. So since there was a house of David, he could have had a son named Solomon, right? But the earliest historical king in Israel would be Hezekiah. Anybody beyond that, it's a possibility. Anybody beyond David is a possible, but very unlikely that those people existed as how the Bible describes them. So it's a bunch of mess. I'm sorry. I got something. I did one. I searching for new insurance, and now everybody in my mom want to call me. But yeah,
it's interesting. Maybe you should have something about Africa, Egypt and Ethiopia, and when Christianity became, you know, their
next week
of religion.
We'll talk about that next week. One of the days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll talk about that.
And it was true persecution, really.
Yeah, it's all through persecution. All through persecution. Other than Egypt and Ethiopia is all persecution. Right? The whole rest of it. And the top half of was persecution through Islam. You know, it's all through persecution. No, there is not one non-indigenous religion in Africa that did not come about through persecution. It was all through persecution. And the indigenous religious people are still being persecuted to this day in a lot of the countries in Africa.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have met people who practice Ifa in Nigeria, and they are persecuted for practicing Ifa. So a lot of them have to congregate like out in the, out in the countryside, because in the cities or in concentrations of population, they are persecuted for not being Christian if they're in the south of Nigeria, and they're persecuted in the north by Muslims.
Wow. I'm for if whatever you want to practice, as long as it's working for you and it doesn't impede on my rights or anyone else's rights.
Yeah. If we get rid of religion, then at least no one will be persecuted for that. But humans will find another reason to persecute each other.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like them. As a group, I don't like humans.
Based on fairy tales.
Yeah. Individual people I'm cool with, but humans as a group, they are terrible. Simply terrible. And then they want to put their what they call their persecution, they want to put that over other people. As if the Christians who are being persecuted in Nigeria right now, that's more meaningful than the Muslims who are being persecuted in Nigeria right now. It doesn't matter. They're all there. You got two groups of people being persecuted over a belief in a fairy tale God that neither one of them can prove exists.
And had nothing to do with them.
Yeah. And they don't have enough love within their religion to be able to say that, hey, you don't want to believe in my God, that's fine. But you're a good person. You have the right to breathe. You have the right to eat, to try to make a living for your family. You do you, I'm gonna do me, but we can still get along as a community. None of them have enough love to do that. Right. They all gotta force people to believe in what they believe. Yeah. I mean, you even got sects of Buddhists, which most people think of Buddhists as these nice, peaceful people. And most Buddhists are, and most people are in general. But you even got a sect of Buddhists who were killing people in Burma like 3, 4, 5 years ago because they believed in because they were of a different ethnic group. And they were killed. While then their people are being killed in China. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense to me. How people justify these things through their religion and make themselves a victim.
Not aware that it's a delusion.
Mm-hmm. It truly is a mental disease, religion. I find it to be a definitely should be categorized as a mental disease.
Well, thank you for bringing me up.
It is my pleasure, my pleasure, my pleasure. Y'all know it's Friday, so I end a little early on Friday because my wife get home at 3, so
Yeah.
I will persecute y'all for my wife. Nah, I just
I'm doing too bad.
I ain't gonna do you too bad. But it was good talking to you, Miss Fifi.
Nice talking to you too.
All right, talk to you later.
All right. Okay.
All right. As a quick reminder, we still have availability for people to join us here October 31st through November 2nd for our Free Thinkers group. Just call the Drury Plaza downtown San Antonio. Drury Plaza downtown San Antonio. Tell them you're reserving your room for the Free Thinkers group so you can get the discount. Free breakfast and free supper is offered. So that's October 31st here in San Antonio. We are having a meetup. I don't know who was first. So I'm just clicking that one. I think the bottom one is always the one that's been there the longest. Deep, is it Deep Mind?
Deep Mind is my friend.
Deep Mind, how you doing? Are you over 21?
Of course.
Okay. And are you a believer?
Yes, I am a firm believer.
Okay. In which God?
The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Okay. Christian or Hebrew?
Christian.
Okay. All right.
Follower, believer of Christ.
Okay. So what do you think about the topic?
What I think about the
Uh-huh.
cry about Christian persecution
Uh-huh.
is hypocrisy?
Yep.
Well, I think any persecution of any religion, I think is a sad thing. I don't think anyone should be persecuted because of their belief. Right?
I agree.
I think that it is barbaric for someone to not have sympathy for someone being persecuted on the soul because of what they believe.
I agree with that 100%.
Right, of course. If you, for instance, you don't believe in a God, I mean, should you be persecuted for that?
I shouldn't.
Of course not.
But we do. But people do.
People do?
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that has been persecuted for not believing in God.
Oh yeah. I have an ongoing case right now that's under investigation where my life and my home and my wife was threatened.
Well, okay. Well, I don't. Well, that might fall up under the guidelines, but that is just someone just being stupid, right? When I think of being persecuted, I think of a mass gathering or attack on those who believe a certain way.
Okay. Well,
by a mass of people.
Well, during the Inquisition, the Spanish and the Italian Inquisition, not only were other Christians, Jews, but also atheists were persecuted for not believing.
Right, but I'm talking about as far as in 2025.
Now, in 2025, you don't have as much persecution going on in the way of physical persecution towards atheists. What you have is more verbal persecution. It's not inhibiting our way of life or anything like that for the most part. But as a gentleman who was on the live a couple of days ago, or it was either yesterday or the day before, it's a form of persecution when a person says, I can't do business with you because you don't believe in the same religion I believe.
I see.
Right. So what he was offering them is something that's good for them, something that's beneficial to them. But if he didn't belong to Christianity, they wouldn't do business with him.
Who is they are you talking about, referring to?
Oh, it was a gentleman who came on my live yesterday or the day before.
Well, you have silly individuals in every situation. However, a persecution is, I look at it as a mass gathering of people, you know, causing harm to another mass of people based on their belief.
Okay, so the massive number of people who are Christians who persecute the LGBTQ community, would that fit into your narrative?
Well, I don't think Christians persecute them. Now, I think that Christians might have a hard saying to them, but it's nothing more than words, right? Nothing more. Now, once you're talking about a physical attack, I don't think that any Christians go around and physically attack those people of that particular group. I think the most you will see is harsh words. I mean, don't get me wrong. In every case, you'll see a nutcase, an individual going rogue. But for the most part, it's only harsh language.
You do know that words scar you deeper than a stick. That words.
I don't believe that at all.
I want you to. You seem like you've been around the sun quite a few times, like I have. So you don't recognize that if you constantly berate someone, that does not scar them, and that mental scarring can lead to all kinds of issues within their lives.
Well, that's not like verbal abuse, right?
Yes.
Christians does not go to, Christians don't go to a certain person and verbally abuse them on a daily basis.
Well, no.
A Christian, Christians might have a street gathering where they are preaching something that is displeasing to a particular group. But Christians don't go around searching for a particular group of people, looking for them and searching out the cracks and crevices and hunting them down, and then verbally assaulting them.
I think that you are putting.
That's not the case.
I think you're putting everything to the extreme level in order to justify what does happen. So when you have now, are things as extreme as you are making them out to be? In America, not as much. So, but two situations. One, you do have Christians who show up, especially during Pride Month at different Pride events, to ridicule and chastise the people at these Pride events, right? So in that instance, they are seeking out the LGBTQ community to harass them verbally with their beliefs. And we do know that some are murdered for them being a part of that community. But in my, yes.
You said some, so you're telling me that Christians are becoming murderers?
Yeah, most murderers in our prisons today are Christians.
I doubt that very seriously here in America. I think Christians showing up in a certain event, and even then, they're just off to themselves speaking what they speak.
No, they don't. You can find it. You can actually find it because we have the social media that we have today. you can see Christians purposely walking into and going around in LGBTQ events and telling those people they're going to hell and all this other kind of stuff, and that they're wrong and that they evil and they got demons and all this stuff. They are purposely going in there, invading those people's events. But not only that, you have Christian-ran countries where being a part of the LGBT community is illegal and you can receive the death penalty.
Say that last part again.
You can find countries that are Christian-led where being a part of the LGBT community is the death penalty.
Of course. The same way you probably can go the opposite way.
The opposite way.
Right? There's always if you be a Christian and you receive the death penalty, there's always the extreme.
Well,
right?
you
especially once you break.
Hold on. You've only been talking about the extremes. You've only been talking about the extremes, and there are there is not one country where being a Christian gets you the death penalty. There are countries where if you go out and you try to convert the people in that country, you can get the death penalty. But just you being a Christian does not get you the death penalty.
Well, not by the law. However, we firmly understand that in multiple Muslim countries, there's some parts of Nigeria, lots of parts of Africa. We hear about that on a daily basis. That Christians, now I call that true persecution, right? And that word persecution, I think that would harm, not, there's an old nursery rhyme, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words may never hurt me.
Which is a lie. Right? That nursery rhyme is a lie.
When you're talking about, there's some, matter of fact, there's some places in Nigeria, Africa, Congo, you've been a Christian will literally cost you your head.
And in those,
that's not a figure of speech.
And in those same places, you being a Muslim will cost you your head as well. So
absolutely.
But now, is that government sanctioned or is that outliers?
You know what? It could be a little bit of both.
Okay, so then how are you? So earlier when we was talking about the LGBT community and other Christians doing things like that, you made it as if it's just outliers. But now when we look at Nigeria, now outliers is okay. You can't have the both ways.
No, here in America, you would not see any Christians attacking physically anyone in a certain group. Like you said, you reverted over to verbal discomfort, and that's as far as it goes, basically.
So in 2024, the 36 people who were murdered by Christians for them being gay, what do you call that?
And where was this at?
In America.
Right. So those 36 people, right, you're going to, once again, you probably could flip it the other way. I'm sure somewhere you can find someone being unalive just for being Christian. You're always going to have, in every situation, a nutcase, a rogue warrior, so to speak.
Okay, so why can't you got the same thing in the very country you named? You got the same thing happen with rogue people persecuting Christians as well as persecuting Muslims.
Absolutely. So the whole deal was crying about Christians being persecuted with hypocrisy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So what I was saying is that anyone being harmed, physically harmed, right, especially at the point of being unalive, which we fully understand that I think Christians probably get that the most.
They don't.
Yeah.
They don't.
Well, it's now I'm sure in a lot of countries to be gay can cost you your life, but we all know that for the Christians, matter of fact, I believe that will continue until Jesus return.
Every group has suffered persecution, and every group suffers persecution around the world. But Christian and Islam are the top of the group, right? In number, right? Now, in statistically, they're not the top in number. So Christians aren't the most persecuted. Now, unless you go to a Christian research site and they only count Christian deaths. They don't count anybody else's death, like to see who was persecuted and who was killed under whatever that campaign was, right? So, and we're only talking about deaths here. We're just not talking about other forms of persecution. We're just talking about death. So by the death rate, Christians are not the most persecuted group, and especially not this year.
Well, as we know, Christians is the largest religious group. So by their being the largest religious group on the earth, by sheer numbers, I'm sure they are the most persecuted group on the earth.
Let me see.
Yes, I mean, that is just a given.
No, it's not a given. It's not. I wouldn't take it as a given.
I think it's basic math.
Well,
if they are the largest religion on the earth, then quite naturally it's going to go the opposite way.
Not really, because because you also have to consider that the overwhelming majority of those Christians live in Christian-based or democracy, in lands of democracy. So America, Europe, South America, Australia, and Africa, you got the most Christians. But in most of those places that they live, they are not persecuted at all. Like Christians aren't persecuted in America, right?
Not to that certain degree.
That's the only degree we talk about. Christians are not persecuted in America.
Right. Well,
Christians are they persecuted in Europe?
When you use that word, that. So on your deal here, where it says crying about Christians, so you do agree that is worthy to cry about.
It is only worthy to cry about if you're talking about persecution, period, with everybody. When you only cry about your persecution, then you're being a hypocrite. But you're moving the goalposts. Christians, by number, are not the most persecuted simply because they are the largest group, because the overwhelming majority of Christians live in countries where they are not persecuted. So therefore, they do not become the largest group.
Okay, so I beg to differ. If you are, it's basic numbers. If you are the largest religious group, then quite naturally, when it comes to you,
sir.
Right. Sir. What do Google say?
Sir.
If you punch it up on Google, right now, what is the largest?
It says Christians and Islam. Christianity and Islam are more persecuted in more countries around the world than any other religion. So it's both.
So it does say Christian and Islam.
Christianity and Islam are the most persecuted groups.
Right.
Are persecuted are persecuted in more countries around the world than any other religious group.
Okay, so that's still the same. Persecution is persecution.
But let me finish this. And that Jews and Muslims are most likely to live in countries where their group experience harassment. So what this means is that Christians have a tendency to live in countries where they're not persecuted. But Jews and Muslims will live in countries, are most likely to live in countries where they are persecuted, which means that their numbers, sheer numbers, are going to be higher.
Well, I think there's no need to debate that because the proof is in the pudding, right? I said that Christian would be the highest persecuted. You went to Google, you punched it up, and it told you exactly what I thought it was going to tell you.
No, it did not, sir. Sir, it did not, because you only took the first line. You did not listen to the second line.
Okay, listen. It is a straightforward type in. What is the highest religious group that is being persecuted? And you said Christians and Muslims.
Sir.
In the story right there on the spot.
No, sir. That Christianity and Islam are persecuted in more countries around the world, but Jews and Muslims are most likely to live where their group experiences harassment.
Listen to what you're saying, sir. You just said most likely, right? But it's basic common sense of math.
No, it's not.
If the Christians, oh my God. Sure it is.
No.
If the Christians, you just read that more countries that have Christians, and that's why I was saying it's basic math. If you have a large percentage of a group of anything all over the world, then quite naturally, it doesn't matter if you was naming areas where it's mostly Christian based, but that's going to be beside the point. The bottom line
that makes it where your math, your logic does not logic. Your logic doesn't logic, simply because the overwhelming majority of Christians, and here it is, the majority of Christians live in, the largest Christian population is in the United States.
Okay, all right.
Based on your logic, since the majority of Christians live in the United States, then there should be more Christian persecution going on in the United States than anywhere else by sheer number.
Well,
is that not the trail of your logic?
Well, my logic or not, you typed it up, it gave you an answer.
No.
Now you don't like the
No, I love the answer. I adore the answer because I understand the answer. You do not understand the answer, sir.
Okay, so that's what so let me get this correct. You typed in what is the largest religious group being persecuted, and Google gave you a straight answer. The answer was Christians and Muslims. And then you went to say, however, but the answer was Christians and Muslims. Everything else is just an opinion of something.
Sir, no, it's not, because you don't understand what the answer is given. All right, you just simply don't understand. What it is saying is that there are more countries in the world that have anti-Christian and anti-Islamic laws, right?
Okay.
All right, so that means the country just have anti-Christian and anti-Islamic laws.
Okay.
Now,
okay,
what that means, but then you can't just go based on that. It's just saying where they have more of the laws. Now, the question would be, okay, in Saudi Arabia, which has very strict anti-Christian laws, but how many Christians live in Saudi Arabia would then have to be the next question, right? This is why it goes, that's why the answer goes into where they would live, where these people live, because you don't have a large number of Christians living in Saudi Arabia. So therefore, the sheer number is very minimal.
all right, okay. Well, you know, if I don't, I mean, how do you argue that? If someone right now, I go on my phone right now and is speaking there and tell me, Siri, tell me the largest persecuted group. Bing, Christianity.
Okay.
I mean, how do you argue that?
Sir,
I don't want them to continue to beat that dead horse. My true curiosity is you. I think. Let me ask you this: was you once a Christian?
yes, I was.
Now, this is where the meat and potatoes of my coming to your live lies. What I want to know, because I've seen several people that has become a sort of Paul in reverse. And I'm curious to know, when you was a Christian, was you a preacher?
I say I was not, even though I did preach sometimes. And I was the minister over teen church, over the teenagers.
You was a minister over what?
I did take on the role of a minister over the teenagers and the young married couples. But as far as title, my title was chairman of the deacon board. That was the highest title I ever accepted.
And how long was you a minister?
I did that for 3 years.
How long was you a Christian?
37 years.
37 years?
Yeah.
3, 7?
Yeah.
Now you really have my curiosity going. Now these questions are very personal. You don't have to answer them.
I'm very transparent. It's fine.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Did you ever truly love Jesus in that relationship?
All my heart and all my soul.
So, did you ever receive the baptism of the Holy Spirit?
Yes, I did. Or at least I thought I did.
Because someone who received the baptism of the Holy Spirit, it is almost impossible for them to backtrack like that or forsake God.
Well, that's just a claim that the Bible makes, but that's just a claim the Bible makes. You cannot factually bear that claim out.
Well, in fact, I don't think I can remember a verse that really claims that, but just by self-experience.
Yeah, there's a Bible verse that claims that, but just because the Bible verse claims that doesn't necessarily make it true.
Well, okay. I asked you that question. Have you ever been baptized by the Holy Spirit? And your answer was in a way that you wasn't for sure.
No, I said that at the time frame. So let me be more explicit. At the time frame during those 37 years, I believed it to be true. You could not have told. I would have answered that question. Yes, I've been baptized by the Holy Spirit. If you was talking to me when I was 25.
Have you ever spoken tongues?
No.
Okay. So you, when I say baptized by the Holy Spirit, you had no physical interaction of that event when you was baptized by the Holy Spirit.
Yes, I did.
Explain that.
So when I was baptized, and I remember this as if it was yesterday, when I was baptized, I felt what I believed was the presence of God all over me. And I started crying and praising and, talking about, what God has shown me now in my life and all this sort of thing. And yeah, I just spoke English. You don't have to speak in tongues when you get baptized unless you believe you're Pentecostal. That's a Pentecostal belief, a doctrine of the Pentecostal. That's nothing substantiated by the Bible that everybody who gets baptized, if you did receive the Spirit, you speak in tongues, that's a Pentecostal doctrine.
Interesting. What I mean by baptized, I'm not talking about water, right? I'm not talking about baptism by water. I'm talking about baptism by spirit.
What is that?
As I was telling some friends, it's impossible for someone that was baptized by spirit to defect.
It is not.
My next question.
That is just a claim that the book make, and then you're going away from what the book says. The book says that you're supposed to be baptized by water in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And then the Spirit is supposed to descend upon you. So.
No. What I'm talking about is the baptism of the Spirit. Jesus said, "These are the signs that shall follow those that believe." Right?
And now, what are the signs?
Those signs and events is a baptism of the Holy Spirit. It has nothing to do with water. Okay, but passing that. Well, and the reason why I say that is because I used to be an atheist, right? The biggest atheist. And so that experience locked me into my belief forever because I witnessed it within myself with my own eyes. So I can never go backwards because I witnessed it, right? So with you though, what made you begin to crack and go in reverse?
Hold on for a second. So I know you want to skip past it, but I cannot skip past it.
Skip past what?
When you're baptized by the quote that you made about those who are believers, and these will be the signs. That comes from Mark 16, verse 17 through 18. So what you're telling me is that you have done these things. And these signs will accompany those who believe. By using my name, they will cast out demons. They will speak in new tongues. They will pick up snakes. And if they drink a deadly thing, it will not hurt them. They will lay with their hands on the sick, and they will recover. So what you're saying is that someone who is baptized by the Spirit will pick up snakes, speak in new tongues, and poison won't bother them, and they'll heal people and cast out demons.
Well, those things are not all at once. Neither are they all in one person, right? They are chopped up gifts or events given to different individuals. If you turn to Acts Acts 1 and 2, that event is what happened to me.
I'm just saying you were questioning whether or not I was baptized by the Spirit, and you were saying, and I was telling you what my experience was, but then you said you quoted the signs as if those signs are something that must happen if you are baptized.
Your experience was not mentioned.
I did. I told you what happened when I got baptized. I clearly went through my experience of being baptized. Because you was asking me if when I got baptized, did I speak in tongues? And I said no.
When you say you got baptized, are you talking about water?
Yep. Because that is, but even being baptized by the Spirit, because there are other time frames in my life where I was not going through a baptism, but I felt what I thought at that time frame was the Spirit of God on me and being with me. And I did.
Okay, so let me get this correct. Once again,
oh my God,
someone tell me.
Can we not, let's dispense with that. Okay, so what you're doing right now is to say, I'm speaking from a present, I'm speaking in the present, but if you had asked me any of these questions when I was 25, I would not have said I thought. I would say I know. So don't try to take that and use that as a mechanism.
Okay, I fully understand. If I was questioning you at a certain time period, right, then okay, I get what you're saying. But the part that's difficult for me to understand, the reason why, is because someone that has been baptized by the Holy Spirit, I'm not talking about anything to do with water, I'm talking about completely by the Spirit. It is almost impossible for them to go into reverse, because when you are baptized by the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of truth has borne witness to you, deep truth. So it's no longer an opinion. You see, some people,
but you're starting to preach, but that is all your opinion and the opinion of a writer of one of the writers of the Bible.
No. See, that's what I'm saying to you. Remember, I told you I used to be an atheist.
Okay.
So, right. So for me to be converted, it has nothing to do with someone wrote. Is only that in order for me to be converted over from being an atheist, from a family of atheists, was that I bear witness with my own eyes.
What did you bear witness of? What did you bear witness of?
Turn to Acts 1 and 2.
Why do I need to turn to Acts 1 and 2? Why can't you tell me what you bear witness to?
Okay, because the complete event in Acts 1 and 2 happened to me. That complete event.
So you went up to heaven?
No, the part about the wind and the speaking of tongues.
That's not Acts 1 and 2. Acts 1 and 2 says, until the day when he was taken up into heaven, after giving instructions through the Holy Spirit to the apostle.
I'm sorry, well, it might be Acts 2 and 2. On the day of Pentecost.
And suddenly from heaven there came a sound like a rush of violent wind, and it was filled the entire house where they were sitting. Divided tongue as of fire appeared among them, and a tongue rested on each one of them. All of them were filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in other tongues as the Spirit gave them the ability. Now here's the part about that, is that when you get down to 7, amazed and astonished, they asked, now all these men speaking in Galilean, how is it that we hear each one of us in our own native language? So what you're telling me is that you started speaking and people understood you in various languages?
No, I was alone.
Then Acts 2 and 2 don't apply to you.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't. Because they started speaking and everybody heard them in their own language. This is not unintelligible utterances. This is intelligible speech is what Acts 2 is talking about.
Let me explain it. What Acts is telling you, as we all know.
No, we all don't know.
Well, I'm going to break it down to you. Anyone who speaks in tongues in a gathering or midst of people, there should be an interpreter there to interpret the saying of that of what is being said by the Spirit.
Okay.
However, the Bible tells you when the Spirit come upon you and you are alone, the Bible says, he who speaketh by the Spirit speaketh not unto man, but unto God, for by the Spirit he speaketh mysteries. You see, you can be alone.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. You're about to start preaching, and we're not doing that. All right, we're not doing a preaching.
Listen,
no, because you've already displayed to me right now that you do not. The Spirit of truth, as you were saying earlier, the Spirit of truth did not come upon you at all. So you may need to question. You may need to question it again, because if the Spirit of truth, and I know you're not going to accept this, but it's okay.
What is the Spirit?
No,
what is the Spirit of truth?
If the Spirit of truth came upon you, then you would be able to recognize. Oh my gosh, dude, stop interrupting me.
Okay, well, go ahead. I will go ahead.
If the Spirit of truth had come upon you, then the Spirit of truth would have showed you that there is a difference between what Acts is talking about and what Paul wrote in, I believe, 1 Corinthians. Right? Really? That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
When you begin to, I ask you, I'm truly
sorry. Is that what we're doing?
In
the middle of me talking, we doing that.
No, I apologize. I do apologize.
Yeah, because there's some other gifts of the Spirit that you're supposed to become when you become Christian. And that is not one of them that you just displayed.
Well, listen, I just said you have my firm apology.
Accepted. So as I was saying, if the Spirit of truth had come upon you, then based on Acts 2 is showing that there is a difference between speaking in tongue here in Acts 2 and speaking in tongue that Paul talked about when he talked about the gifts of tongue, and he talked about how tongues are supposed to be represented in a gathering. In Acts 2, the tongue that they are speaking of, it means that they spoke where everybody else could understand them in their own language, so therefore no interpretation is needed. No interpreter is needed. What Paul was talking about in that type of speaking in tongue is when it's an unintelligible tongue, and then an interpreter is required in order for everybody to gain the understanding, because it's not in their native tongue. And if you don't have an interpreter, then you are to keep it to yourself and do it in private. So you saying that you had the Acts 2 experience is vastly different from what Paul talks about, and I think is in 1 Corinthians, what Paul is talking about. If you gain the truth, you would have known that.
Now let me respond to what you just said, sir. First of all, I asked you a question. What is the Spirit of truth?
There is no spirit of truth. There is just truth, okay, or there is not truth.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, let me give you a small understanding. Well, let me ask you another question. You said, can a person receive the Holy Spirit and speak in tongues alone?
According to the Bible, yeah.
Okay. According to the Bible, they can.
Mm-hmm.
Now, right, they can. So that part where in Acts 2, so that part in Acts 2, when it says the Holy Spirit came upon them, me and you just agree that a person can speak in tongues alone, which means
no, not in Acts 2. Not Acts 2. And you said you had an Acts 2 experience.
Now, I didn't interrupt you, sir. But listen,
Well, I'm the host, so I can. Especially when you're making a fallacious argument.
So
when you're lying on my podcast, you will not overtalk me when you are lying on my podcast, and I can easily just mute you. When you are lying on my podcast, I will interrupt you. And so do not unmute yourself when I mute you, because I'm doing it for a reason. And if you continuously talk, then I'll kick you from the show. But when you are lying on the...
Our conversation has been terminated, sir. You are atheist, so you have no spirit of God within you.
Yeah, it's been terminated because I can terminate it. You are not going to come on here and lie. You literally said that you had an Acts 2 experience. Acts 2 experience is that you got the Holy Spirit, you spoke in tongues, and people around you heard you in your native tongue. This is how disingenuous these people are. You heard that, and now you want to try to convert that into the speaking alone in tongues. See, you are lying when you say that that's what we were saying about Acts 2. That is not Acts 2. And so therefore, you never had this Holy Spirit, this baptism of Holy Spirit. You had an emotional experience because your life was probably going to shit, and you converted over to Christianity and you think everything is hunky-dory. But you just straight lying. I can tolerate a lot, but I am not tolerating lying. And that was lying. You straight up lied, Christian. We were having a decent conversation until then. It was decent until that moment. What up, Mello?
What's up, man? That dude was ridiculous. I wouldn't even say that was a decent conversation, man. You're a better man than me, man.
I know it was. It wasn't. He can't even understand information about persecuting and how if people live in a country where they're not being persecuted, the overwhelming majority of Christians live in America. So of course the sheer number of Christians being persecuted is not going to be higher because they don't live in a place where they're being persecuted. It's fucking stupid.
Exactly. That's what I was saying the other day too, man. The comprehension level of these people is crazy. He reminded me similar of I got a friend that was kind of he was atheist for a long time, and then also he had experience, and now he a Christian, and he's not the brightest guy, but it's just like, how does this keep happening? And then everything you would say to him was, well, that could happen in reverse. We could say the reverse of that. And like,
they make no sense to me, man. I just don't even understand how they can continue to delude themselves in these ideas, especially that guy on his. Like, are you serious? You hear one part that fits your narrative and you want to stick to it, but then that lying part at the end, you claimed this fucking Holy Spirit based on Acts 2, but then you want to flip it and try to make Acts 2 and what Paul said about speaking in tongues the same thing. You know, I know he was trying to put me in a trap, but I already knew where he was going, and I knew it was going to fail. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I doubt that he was even actually used to be atheist. I feel like he'd been indoctrinated for quite some time. And he's just out there trying to have a quote-unquote intellectual debate. Like, we already knew that was a bad faith arguments from him from the beginning, because he kept switching every time you would get to something, and then again interrupting when you hit the place. Like this.
Yeah. And then I don't know why they think that they can go on somebody else's podcast and have some level of authority. You know, yeah, I respect people when they respect me, but you have to understand, on a podcast, the person hosting the podcast can interrupt you at any point, but that doesn't grant you the authority to interrupt them, right? It's just not how it works. And you know, when I go on other people, if I went on someone else's podcast, I'm just going to respect how they did it.
it's the right thing to do, man. Honestly, it's the simple thing to do.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I just, like if I'm on a podcast and I'm in the middle of something, but then I say something that the host is saying that, oh, maybe I want to hit that point. Let's hit that point right there. I'm going to respect the fact that even though I hadn't finished, it's their show. I'm going to let them go into whatever that point is of something that I said. And if we can get back to what I wanted to finish saying, then that's great. But if we can't and we go into another direction, then so be it. It's their fucking show. You know?
Yeah, it was him. I thought the guy before, what's the lady name before her? The one person before her, I thought he was the worst up until this guy. And it was just like
Oh, the Osa? Yeah.
Yeah, he was just ready to be a victim so bad, man. He really thought you called him a raccoon or something. Like, what? You didn't even say like that at all. Like, what was he on? I don't know. Yeah. But he was just looking for a reason to crash out.
Yeah, how did he go from young man, me saying you're a young man, to you're a coon? That don't even have a like sound any similar in any form or fashion. He just wanted to be a victim. Like, dude, seriously. But no. Yeah,
but I'm in agreement, as usual with your product up there, man, that these people persecuted, I believe, alive a million civilians over there during that Bush era. You know what I'm talking about? And that was led by Christian. That was a Christian.
Oh yeah, dude, I literally had a chaplain. So I was in the Marine Corps during that time frame. Well, which era are you talking about? I'm talking about the 90s. So
I'm talking about
the second one.
They got the weapons of that era, freedom.
Yes. So when I went to Desert Storm, we literally had chaplains who were saying that God is for America and hates the Muslims, and so we need to make sure we, kill as many as we can.
Yeah. That carried on to Iraqi freedom too. Yeah. So that was there. That's one.
Yeah. Okay.
That's one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't even, and the thing about it, it was widespread, as if something came down from on high to tell the chaplains to say this to everybody, because it was every freaking chaplain. And then when I talked to other people who served, a number of them were saying that their chaplains were saying the same thing. And I was like, damn. And then not only the chaplains, of course, you got your platoon sergeants and your officer in charge, and them was saying the same shit too. So yeah, a lot of those people. Go ahead.
I'm going to say we already know how functioning brainwashing works in the military. That's
most assuredly.
That's not even. I wouldn't be shocked. I'd be shocked if you said something like that didn't happen.
I was shocked that it was said, and I honestly, because I'm always an optimistic person, I was hoping that when I asked other people that maybe I just had a bad chaplain, and that everybody else got a good chaplain. But I just kept being disappointed because every other chaplain was saying the same thing.
Nah, man, it's evidence. We can even look what's going on right over there in Palestine. We can look what's happening. Those commands come, and you can only imagine the rhetoric that they are being fed.
Yeah.
And we got our guys over there with them. So it's just like, again, if it wasn't for us, it'd be no Schmittler.
Yeah, it wouldn't. And the thing about it, they made me forget what I was going to say. Oh, it always amazes me how Christians will claim all of this stuff, but yet they cheer for Israel every time they lob bombs over there, and they don't care who it kills. They don't care if it kills innocent women and children, old people, non-combatant males. They don't care. Just as long as the bombs land and kill those people, that's all they care about, because they have to support Israel. Yet, so they want to cry persecution, but they are supporting the persecution of these people in Palestine. That's complete hypocrisy. you know.
To the higher degree, man.
Yeah.
But that's their whole thing, though. What's to say? They on the white tees are on a new rug, and the rug is called audacity because they because they have the audacity to do these type of things. Literally, like how just the contradictions in itself. Again, you can live in a place called Los Angeles and tell these people, they need green cards. While you live in El Paso, while you live in Dakota, all Milwaukee, all these non-European names, all these native names. So you telling people they're illegal on native land, like this,
Yeah.
We're just rife with that. I mean, it's just rife with that behavior. Just
indeed. But man, let me get a couple more people up here before I get off, because one is Friday. I was supposed to have been off 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, I thought you was getting off. That's the only reason I even hopped up, man.
Yeah, I am. But some people waited. I got at least one or two people who waited. So I want to try to let them on real quick. So yeah, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Peace, man. Next time.
Because my wife is about to get off work, and I ain't talking to y'all when she get off work. Obi.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing, bro?
Pretty
Man, I
good.
was listening, and I was just gonna sit back and listen, bro. But I heard not this caller, but the one before, and I think he just went off the rails with it. You know what I mean? Because the the Christian persecution. Um, I mean, that can be depending when you're talking about internationally, the whole entire world. That can be viewed subjectively because it depends on what region of the world that you're in too. Because sometimes your religion I don't know, like in America, it's not really so much like that. It's more like your ethnicity, where you see persecution or discriminations. Yeah, I know there's the uprising thing with the LBG, however you say it, LB alphabet. But in other countries, sometimes your religion is tied with your ethnicity, like almost hand in hand. So sometimes it's deeper than just Christians or this group being persecuted because of their actual religious beliefs. It's just more so because of their ethnicity. And
That's what happened in Rwanda.
yeah,
They were all Christian, but it was the Hutus and Tutsis, so it was the ethnic beliefs.
I mean, it happens in Nigeria. Like, you got people in the East, they're more so Christians. The West as well. But in the North, that's where you got Islam. And so,
Yeah.
but within that, it's their ethnic groups. You know what I'm saying? That's how, however the missionaries ended up over there, or, that's how, I forget exactly how that happened like that, but that's really what it is. It's more of an underlying factor, vice just, we believe in the Bible, so we're being persecuted because of that reason alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you're right. Most of those cases, it's not. There are other underlying issues, and most of the time, it is the ethnicity over and the religion is just something that they just lump on top of it to give them a justification from some god, which is the same
Yes.
reason. That's the same way they did the Crusades. That's the same way the Ottomans came back and fought again, and the whole Arab nation. They used the religion to justify their actions that are really based on ethnicities or resources.
Yes, I agree with you on that. I've had these talks like with people, offline, and especially like religious people, and it's hard for them to. What I try to tell someone, and the reason like I said, I was just gonna sit back and listen, but I felt like I wanted to express this so that maybe if someone else is listening, that's kind of not as like far off or as that other caller was, but if they're a little closer to like being reasonable, if you take if you get out of the book and just deal with the reality that you're living in, whatever your living situation is, whatever part of the world you're in, and you ask this same question, you'll view it more realistic. Like it'll make more sense because people will say you brought it up where you said that how did you word it? You said that the LBG whatever the alphabet, they got they do get persecuted in America, and then Christians get persecuted as well, but that's more so it's not really more so of it's a hypocrisy because um the Bible, the Christians believe that the gay people, that they are wrong because they're what they're doing, the way that they're living is against their beliefs and persecute them, and but being crying about Christians being persecuted for whatever their beliefs are, it's like people doing the same thing because
Mm-hmm.
some people um they just don't like those type of people, and they may call themselves a Christian, but they're not really living like Christ like. It's just something, maybe they were baptized when they were younger and they still say I'm a Christian. So that maybe they might not even go to church. They might just pray every now and then. They're not living a Christ life, and then but when they want to persecute someone, they want to attack that person because they're going against. They use Christ as the uh, they use Christ
Mm-hmm.
as their crutch.
Yeah. I mean, the KKK just didn't like black people,
That's
but
the
they
group I
used,
was talking about. That's the group exactly that was in my head when when I was saying that.
yeah, but they used Jesus and the Bible as their justification for the simple fact that they were racist. So, and
Hmm.
that gave them permission and kind of put a bomb on their soul so that they can go and do these heinous things to people and not feel any remorse or regret or anguish over it. So, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, because that's the group I was talking about because that's one of the that's one of the hateful groups of American history, probably the most. Um, and look at what they were doing. They're burning crosses. They were doing it towards black people. I think Jews, other groups, and but they're these guys supposedly going to church. This is in the deep south,
Mhm.
and that's what they were using as their crutch that they lean on. But if you take yourself out of the book and just live in reality, you know that that's BS.
Oh, exactly. You would definitely know it is. And that's why
You know what I'm
that's why
saying?
I need to go. But look here, I appreciate you. You came on late,
Mhm.
but I'm
Oh
gonna get
yeah.
off in minutes. So I'm gonna try to let a couple of one or two more people before I get the hell
Mhm.
on. Okay.
All right, for
So
sure, brother. Man, have a good one, bro.
appreciate you. May the force be with you.
No doubt, no doubt.
All right. I can't help it. His name is Obi. How can I not do Star Wars with Obi? I gotta do it. Uh, okay, I guess that person fell off. Okay, I guess. Oh shit. Well, they fell off. Oh well. So great. Um. Yeah. Yeah. So we're about to get off here in a minute, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't help but seeing something. I didn't know this, y'all. Did y'all know that I am Fred Adams' leader? Did y'all know that I am so privileged to be Fred Adams' leader? He said we need a new leader over this broadcast. I didn't know I was Fred Adams' leader. Ah, unknown leadership. Oh, so anyway, uh, yeah, and Obi was struggling. I see VV put LGBTQ. I used to struggle with that myself, trying to get that right. So I just practiced it to make sure I can say it right because I want to be respectful to all people in their groups. So if I possibly can, because I used to mess that up as well. So, don't count it to his head, not his heart. Ain't that how that saying goes? But in summation, this is ridiculous that if Christians truly were people who loved people, who treated people fairly, who was trying to be like Jesus according to their story. According to their story, Jesus went into the places of the people that everybody else despised. He, according to their beliefs, and you'll hear Christian repeat this over and over again. Oh, Jesus went and he was with the tax collectors and he was with the prostitutes and all these other people. He went to where the sick people were because you don't go to a healthy person. You go, a healthy person doesn't go to a hospital, but a sick person goes to the hospital, and Jesus provided the hospital. They'll say all those things, but yet they will support Israel in how it attacks and kill the people in Hamas. They will persecute people in the LGBTQ community. They have a history of persecuting people of different cultures. We see that, as you definitely see that if you are a person of color in the Americas or in Africa or any other place where Europeans came with Christianity in one hand and a sword in the other hand. Even within their own ranks, Christianity persecuted other Europeans before they got wind of there's other lands with resources. And all of it was about resources. It had really nothing to do with race. It had all to do with resources, and then they developed race out of it. So we see that this religion has always done this because this religion is a religion of supremacy. And through that supremacy, Jesus calling that Canaanite woman a dog because he thought that he was better than her. They said that this was only for the children of Israel. Even in the Old Testament, they can go and genocide other people. They can make slaves of them in chattel slavery. They treated women like trash. This religion has always had a mindset of persecuting someone. Someone is always persecuted. And if we take the time to look at this Bible from the other side, because I did a couple of videos of the Bible based on other people in the Bible's perspective, what we see is the Israelites are a persecuting force that comes in, and the people in Jericho were minding their own damn business, but this God came in and caused them to be genocided according to the story. Thankfully, that story is a false narrative. It never happened, but we can see in their history where they did try to genocide other people or kill other people. So, and think that they have the right to do so. And have they suffered their own persecutions? Of course they have. Just like every group has suffered their own persecutions. The hypocrisy is that they claim to be of love, but yet they continue to persecute other people. If you truly want to claim you are a Christian, stop persecuting people, and even if it's by words, but stop persecuting other people and stand up against all forms of persecution towards everyone, not just the people in your group. Because if all you're doing is standing up for the people in your group, you will find yourself one day standing alone. What was it? I forgot who said it, but there was a German, the German dude who said something to the effect of, when they came after the disabled, I said nothing because I'm not disabled. When they came after the gypsies, I said nothing because I'm not a gypsy. When they came after the Jews, I said nothing because I wasn't a Jew. But when they came after the Protestants, when it came after the Protestant, I found myself standing alone as a Protestant. It goes something like that. And basically what he was trying to get across to people is that if you don't stand up for the injustices of other people, by the time that injustice gets to you, there will be no one else to stand up with you. So if you are a true believer in Jesus, as the way Jesus has been modified into today's world, then stop focusing just on what happens to Christians, and only Christians that you agree with, because many of the LGBTQ community that you rile against believe in Christianity for some strange reason. Many of the people, so stand up against them. The African countries that say that it's illegal for them to live that life, stand up for them. For the few Christians who live in places like Saudi Arabia, stand up for them. Now, of course, persecution in Saudi Arabia towards Christians is merely you can't go and preach. But in your own home, you can do whatever the hell you want. And they even have their own compounds where they do whatever they want. I've been there. They have house church. And no one comes banging through the door trying to arrest them for it. Now, if you invite an Arab to your home church, yes, because you're violating their laws. But where there is real persecution of Christians, Christians should be looking at Nigeria and saying, Christians, stop killing Muslims, and Muslims, stop killing Christians. That's what you should be doing, but you don't. You come up and you just want to flail against your head, flail shit against the wall about how Christians are being persecuted, how Christians are going through this and that. So, and if that is your behavior, the sad part about it is you're not being the Christian that you believe Jesus is, you're being the Christian that Jesus actually was. And that is someone who practiced ethnocentrism, which is akin to racism. So with that, you guys, I'm done. And we're going to go off and we're going to have a great weekend. Everybody's going to have a great weekend. Y'all going to get on the phone and go to the link in my YouTube on this video, and you're going to do two things. One, you're going to call the hotel, the Drury Plaza, telling you we're the Free Thinkers Group, and you're going to reserve your damn room to meet us here to meet up with everybody October 31st through November 2nd here in San Antonio. That's one that you're going to do. Number two that you're going to do, you're going to click on the other link that's in the description of this video, and you're going to go and get some merchandise to support the channel. That's what you're going to do. So I appreciate you guys, and I want to thank everybody who does support the channel. I haven't said that in a minute. Who supports the channel this way through what is this thing called? Cash App. Everybody who supports the channel by being a subscription holder, a member, or a super fan, I thank you for that. I am very appreciative of it, especially since I just got a text from my daughter who needs $30. Look, when you're a parent, you're going to always be a parent. They don't hit you for the big dollars no more. But they need to look, can I get a little $30 here? Can I get a little $20 or $50 there? So, yeah. Fun times. But she's a good kid. So, y'all have a great day. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.